Well, hello everybody, and welcome to yet another Inworld edition of the Inworld Review, no less. It is currently the 22nd of November. We're recording on Saturday these days. And it is the year, yes, it is the year of 2014. Yes, I do get it right. Petlove just told me it's 2025, but she was trying to trip me up. You can hear the sniggers behind me here. We are actually broadcasting from Chilbo in Second Life, and we're brought to you in association with AView TV. It's a wonderful logo you can sort of see behind me here. Right. Before we go any further, if you are watching live, you will actually have seen just a few seconds ago a new clip from Drastic Depraise World Builder series, followed by a rather nice mission by Natasha Rand and Karima Hoisan. And more on that in a few seconds. It is relevant to our show, so to speak. I also need to say that if you were here watching us live last week, well and good, but if you ended up looking for a replay, unfortunately, you didn't manage to find one. Believe it or not, all three of our possible systems all broke down simultaneously. It was a long program. Live stream didn't record it. Our offline camera didn't record it. And my backup camera crashed at the very end as well and didn't encode it. So we were really, despite all our precautions, totally and utterly stuck. So I do apologize for that. If you saw us live, you can pat yourself on the back and tell people how you saw the one and only live edition that can't be seen in replay. Anyway, hopefully we'll all go again properly this week. All the buttons seem to be sort of playing nice, and we'll find out at the end of the show whether they really did. Temperamental live stream being what it is. Anyway, so to this week's show. Now, before I just go through a few quick headlines, I might as well tell you who we've got on the program. Sitting next to me on my left, of course, is my partner Tara Yates. Hi, Tara.
Howdy, Mel. And
my other co-host sitting beside me on the right, it's Maria Gorolov. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Mel. Great to be here.
Next to Maria, right. Well, do I call you Kevin or Winter?
Well, I go by Winter. I'll take Winter.
Okay, right. Okay, well, we have Winter, and I've got my interface hidden. I can't see your avatar's second name. This is most embarrassing.
Silversmith.
Silversmith. Right. Winter comes to us today. He's going to be talking about Tangle Grid, but he's also going to be talking about a new sort of blog site, which is going to be featuring open sim destinations and stuff, with a focus on lifestyle and entertainment and probably destinations and stuff. So we will hear more about that later. Over on the other side of me, next to Tara, we have Karima Hoisan. I believe I've got the pronunciation right. Have I, Karima?
Very close, yeah, Hoisan. I put a little of an accent on the last syllable. But yeah, so nice to be here, Mel. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, absolute pleasure. I absolutely adore your machinima. And of course, I did say a second ago that we ran one of your recent clips right at the top of the show there. So people have an idea of what your work is like. And of course, you have a submission in the recent University of Western Australia thing. And you've got loads of machinima up. I love them. I especially love that sort of lovely, soft-spoken, poetic voice that accompanies many of them. And just as a little bonus, she isn't actually on air with us, but your sparring partner, so to speak, Natasha, is actually in the audience here.
Oh, yes.
And we may get a bit of an interaction via text too, because it's when it comes to machinima, it's very much the two of you. Yes. I have a link coming up shortly too, which is also something about the two of you. And also, far off at the edge there, as camera women want to be, we have Petlove Petshop on stage as well. So welcome, Pet.
Hello.
Great to have you here, of course. And if you're wondering about the bear in the middle, well, he just doesn't seem to have it in his mind to teleport off anywhere.
He's my friend. He's my friend.
Yeah,
He's visiting.
nor has he done. He has been here for several months now, I think, as indeed has the beautiful sleeping dog over the other side next to Winter. And as Tara will reveal shortly, there is a bit of show and tell lying around here too, of a very different nature. Well, they're more critters probably, but we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so we will obviously have all the Open Sim and Hypergrid news from Maria in a while, and we'll have various anecdotes and things from Second Life as well from Tara. But I'm just going to run through a couple of things that you'll find on my feed at twitter.com/malburns. Which I just pulled up the tabs for because I think they're important things of the week, so to speak, or at least they're anecdotal. This, of course, is assuming the old browser here on my other computer is willing to play nice with me. It's being slow. I'm pasting these into our back channel here, and hopefully these will arrive at the live stream channel courtesy of somebody shortly. The first link is to northjersey.com. And they have an article up here called Developing Technology in Treating Stroke Victims Studied at St. Joseph's Wain, which I presume is a hospital or something like that in that particular region. But it's quite interesting. It's to do with using virtual reality technology to actually treat strokes in the very physical sense. In other words, getting people to use their arms and hands again. And if I'm wiring them into VR, helps this exercise just as much as any physiotherapy type operations would. So a rather interesting aspect to constructive uses of virtual worlds there, or at least virtual reality. Oh, come back, you silly browser. Right, you got me cursing again. Road to VR. Have a couple of things in their blog this week. Well, actually, I've put a lot, but a lot of it is stuff I'm sure Maria will cover shortly. The first one I've got here is what happens when you live in VR for a whole month straight? One man aims to find out. And, we go on about people who never get out of virtual worlds. I'm not really sure this is the experiment that's going to have the results we want to hear. And even more disconcertingly, the chap who's going to be doing it, was staying in bed 24 hours with an Oculus Rift on, is a local to me. He's an Englishman based in London here. And he is, I gather, inverted commas, an artist. So the experiment is by way of an art experiment as opposed to a serious medical experiment.
I hope he has some B-roll and some film in the library to run while he does things that he needs to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, well, maybe he's got some folks around there, take a quick 5-minute break and got some folks around there sort of feeding him drinks and liquid food or something. Okay. Who knows? But a rather dubious activity this. The next thing I have is to Philip Rosedale's new company, High Fidelity IO, just coming through now. I think. Oh yes, that's right. This isn't one of Philip's blogs. It's actually by somebody called Grayson Stebbins, whoever he be. The gap between virtuality and science fiction is shortening, and although this blog is at High Fidelity, it's focused really on talk, which is also on my blog at malburnsannex.blogspot.com, which Philip Rosedale gave an interview, a one-to-one interview at Gigarom's conference thingy during the week. Nothing particularly new in it, but just sort of anecdotal things. Every time you have an interview, it's a different interviewer, so they get more out of you according to the threads they're interviewing you by. So a good listen and a good summary to be had there too. Go away, tab, not window, tab. Right. Sorry, I've got to talk to my browser all the while, haven't I? Right, next link is to Columbia Journalism Review. I don't know whether Maria's actually come across this. It's probably a cup of tea in some ways. Virtual reality is journalism's next frontier. And this is discussing why newsrooms need to consider telling stories in a new and different way, i.e. via virtual reality. Yeah, I suppose it's the extension of one-man reporters these days who carry audio mics, video cameras, and notebooks around with them, and even editors, so they do the whole job. Well, journalists are now being told that they need VR kit to be really fantastic cutting-edge journalists filming 360 and I don't know what else. But if you're into journalism and what might be possible to do with it using new VR technologies, quite a good little post there. I am sorry that these tabs do take an infernal long time to open. Okay, my next, oops, no, it's not my next link. It's changed again, hasn't it? Right, the next link is not happy about copying. Here we are. This is a blog called Pings from the Afterlife. And actually, this may actually be Thursday's blog, or it's certainly one of the crowd who are on our regular Hypergrid Safaris every Wednesday. And this blog is simply called A Tale of Two oh dear, this is a tongue twister. A Tale of Two TPs. And it's actually a report on last week's Hypergrid Safari. And you'll actually find one of these every week. So if you are interested in the Hypergrid Safari and haven't made one yet or can't make one, this actually is quite a good blog to sort of go to read a read-up of the previous one. Did that paste or did it not? If it hasn't, I think I'm in a pickle here. Oh dear, I think, right, Pings from the Afterlife will have to wait. It's closed on me and it didn't paste. Right, Hypergazette, a blogspot. This is becoming a very useful blog. There are actually several posts here this week. They usually feature, possibly every day, I've got a Skype alert here. Hopefully we're going okay. Right, Hypergazette. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm getting a back message there, so I didn't quite get that. Right, they have various destinations throughout the week on OpenSim and the Hypergrid, but this particular link will take you to overview Hypergazette articles, destinations in alphabetical order, grids L to Z. There is also a blog earlier than this, which is grids A to L, and they're also doing an inventory of shopping destinations, and they're just doing various posts along a theme and summarizing all their blog posts and the links.
Mal, if you could repost that link, because you didn't get you got the virtual reality and journalism twice and not the one you're just talking about.
Right. Okay. Unfortunately, Pings for the Afterlife has been lost, but never mind. This is the. Oh, it's done it again. I'm sorry. I think it's. Oh, what is up with this? Copy.
You must read that article.
Yeah, copy and paste. It's great. It's pasting the same link over and over again and not copying the one.
Are you trying to chew gum, do the show, and paste at the same time?
No, seriously. Something or other is going ding in the background here, and it's just it's also for some very bizarre reason refusing to paste my links. I'm going to give it one more go. Copy. Don't distract me, and paste. No, it's completely stuck. Okay, so I'll just put my glasses on so I can see better here. What you want to do is go to www.cjr.org, and believe it or not, it is the previous URL. Right, this is not helping at all. Okay, let me move on. Right. The next link goes to blogspot.com. It's Hypergrid Academy. It's a very short post, but it's basically introducing something called the Hypergrid Academy. And wait, do you believe it? It's pasted. Wonder of wonders. Congratulations, Skype. Okay. This is about the launch of the Hypergrid Academy. It's just a quick paragraph. The Academy itself does have a build on Kitely that's open to Hypergrid visitors. And you'll be able to, actually, once you're in Kitely, you simply type in Hypergrid Academy, 2 words into search, and you will find it. Right. Wish I knew what was going on here. Something else exciting, again, from VoteVR's website. And again, we have an English connection here, because he is a Knight of the Realm, Sir Paul McCartney, indeed. Performing in San Francisco not very long ago, Paul McCartney has released the first virtual reality rock concert. It was filmed with, I don't know which manufacturer. I think it was Jaunt VR. Yes, Jaunt VR. It's Jaunt VR's first publicly available cinematic VR content. And this blog actually gives you a teaser of Live and Let Die, as seen by YouTube. It's got a very strange panoramic effect, not the Oculus Rift double screen effect, but for those of you who've seen panoramas that sort of stitch around and websites and stuff like that, you'll realize what's going on. It's like a sort of fisheye effect. But apparently people have seen this, saying, oh God, you can see Paul McCartney up close, and while you're watching the video, you can turn around and look at him from different sides and stuff like that. So apparently he's done a rather good job, and probably setting a lot of records to boot. So that's Paul McCartney at Rotor VR there. Did I get? Yeah, okay. Come on, close. Right. Now, please, my tabs. The browser is just giving me a wheelie. Here we go. I'm sure. Well, this I'll leave to later. I've suddenly realised this is a link to Hypergrid Business, and since we have winter here, we will talk about the Current Journal a little bit later. In fact, I'll wait till later before giving you a link, because I'm not quite sure what the Earl is at the moment. There was a little bit of to and froing before the show about that. Right. Now, tomorrow, some other great news. If you're into Machinima, the Machinima Expo number 7 is having its big screening, quite literally tomorrow. And this actually involves Machinima that's not only inhabited in World Machinima, but general Machinima. So I guess there might be movie storm jobs and stuff like that involved. But it's going to be screened in World in Second Life at the Linden Endowment for the Arts Theatre, which is the big thing you'll find on the map in the middle of. You just type in LEA and look for the big blob in the middle, and that's that's the theatre. A big area that you can view from 4 angles, and it's been put on by AView TV. Of course, and I don't actively. Well, it's tomorrow. I'm not quite. Petlove, do you by any chance know what time that starts?
I do not. I don't know what time it starts, but it might be closer to East Coast time than Pacific. Right. So if it's 9 or 10 in the morning, then you know what I mean. It's probably East Coast time.
Oh, I've got a lot of background noise in somewhere. Right. Okay. Yes. Serious submission there. We've the easiest way to go there, by the way, looks to be LEA 4. But I do know it's right in the centre there anyway. Yeah. If we find out about that later, we'll tell you. But I would imagine about midday Second Life time would be the sort of time something like that will begin. But we don't know for sure. And Skype tells me it's got a problem with the call. This isn't working out very well at all. Just put my browser away quickly. Right. Now, the next link goes to Virtual Outworlding blogspot.com. This is actually Thinker and Melville's blog. But it conveniently links to today's show, because the title of the blog is Kitely Places, Vectors Vortex, Visual Poetry. And this is none other than a thing Karima here has been working on, along with Natasha Rand, her collaborator. So you can talk about that in a little bit, Karima. But I've posted the link to that particular blog there. And I actually did visit. It wasn't this last week; it was the week before with the Hypergrowth Safari. That very place, Vector's Vortex, and I just took one look at it, and I didn't really want to teleport anywhere else. I was quite happy to take my scripted rides through the galaxy and indulge in various psychedelic sequences en route. Until I fell through the floor, but that's another story. Right, okay. I'm fed up with my browser, and I think that's actually all the main stuff that I've got out of the way there. So we'll go to Maria in a short while for more of the OpenSim and Hypergrid news and to chat with Winter. Meanwhile, I'm going to throw it over to Tara for her take on the week. So over to you, Tara.
Thank you, Mel, and hopefully Skype will behave. Since I got that rude message twice, and I had it completely fall out here a couple of minutes ago. So,
well, I hope it did fall out while I was talking, but never mind. Carry on. Oh, don't tell me it's fallen out again. Hello.
Welcome back, Winter.
Hello.
Hi, Winter. We hear you.
Am I here?
Yes, Winter.
Okay, good.
Oh, yeah.
And Mal, while
It just dropped me.
while we're waiting for Tara, Mal,
Yeah.
the Machinima Expo is 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time. Okay?
Right.
And Winter, we're sorry you got dropped. We're glad you're back.
Right, I'm still getting a
We'll
week
just-
saying there's a problem with the call, but this happens all the while with Skype now, and I never know whether it means anything or not, to be honest. It looks like we've lost Tara. Okay, maybe I'll switch over to you, Maria, to move through some of the headlines until Tara gets back, because we can't be sure what's happening here. Maria, are you with us?
Oops. I had my mic off so that you wouldn't hear me chowing down on my cough drops. Okay.
Oh, boy, okay.
So I would like to start out by talking with a story that relates to something you were saying about immersive journalism. One of my writers, Kate Abrasimova, did a story about how virtual reality can make people nicer. It can make you more empathetic towards other people. And she talks about how this can be used in immersive journalism by putting you inside a civil war or at the site of a tornado or an earthquake or a tsunami. And it can make you feel like you're actually there. It can also put you inside the body of a handicapped person so you can learn what it's like to be handicapped. In this particular case, they did a colorblind experiment where you felt as though you were colorblind, and then they went and followed up with you afterwards to see if your attitudes towards the handicapped people had changed, and they did. In another example of this study, they made people superheroes who could fly around and try to find a patient who needed some medicine. And by playing the role of a superhero in this virtual reality game, people acted nicer and more altruistically afterwards. So I think that this is a really interesting take on virtual reality. I don't know how I'm worried about how people will take these results, because if virtual reality can make you nicer when you do nice things in virtual reality, what will happen when you're killing people right and left in virtual reality? So
yeah, I mean, I wonder if that might be connected, any thoughts from anyone here actually, with the I keep wondering if we're going to look back at this, now the web is all corrupted and commercialized and everything. If we're going to look back on this as the kind of golden age of virtual worlds, before the uncanny valley is breached and before it all gets exponentially better. It's obvious, sometimes it's the very things missing that we don't have, the photorealism and the fact we've got anonymity and things like that gives it its benefits. And we often say, there's unless somebody is really bigoted or racist or sexist anyway, when they come in and they've got an ingrained attitude, you don't see too many isms in the virtual world, because, you never know what age somebody is you're talking to. Sometimes you don't know what sex they are, because their avatar may be a contrary one, and you don't know what race they are and things. So it's very much a sort of level ground. And, apart from griefers and basically people who just haven't grown up yet, it is quite a level playing field. And we get some of that leveling from what is currently still absent in the environments. And I wonder if, it's the encounters in virtual world and that aspect of virtual worlds as they are at the moment that makes people, relax more, talk to people more, be a bit more open-minded, and subsequently nicer. Because your point about, when war games and stuff like that, a lot of kids do grow up, endlessly shooting things, and they enter the real world as adults and things. Oh yes, can we shoot something? Hopefully it's not too endemic, but there are these underlying patterns.
Yeah, well, hopefully, the studies that I've seen about violent video games is that there's really no correlation. Countries that have the most violent video games don't have any more violence in them. In fact, some of the countries with the least level of violence have players who play the most horrible, gruesome, violent video games. So there's plenty of other factors at work. So it's not a clear causation mechanism. People who are more violent may be more drawn to games or something. So who knows? Who really knows how all that works? But for journalists carrying stuff for filming this, it's probably a little too early. The Jaunt VR cameras are difficult to use and expensive, and take very specialized. And so you can film like for a concert, you would have a whole team of people filming this. For a single journalist on their own right now, no. 5 years from now, as the camera prices drop, then yeah, you might be able to stick this on a pole in the middle of a scene and walk around it to make sure you're not in a picture, and then film it.
I just fancy putting my baseball cap on and it would be embedded with cameras all the way around.
That's true, except it'll shoot at your nose.
Yeah, but Mel, don't you know, baseball caps, as soon as you put one on, it drops your IQ by at least 20 points.
Oh, thank you, Tara. Well, I wear one all the while when I almost every
that won't
time
make
I
any
go
difference.
out there.
Mel's IQ is so high anyway. Really?
Okay, fair enough. It's my way of dumbing down when I go out the front door. Okay. I'm going to have to deal with real world people, so I need to be dumbed down a bit. Yes.
Let's not get carried away, Mel. Okay, it was a joke.
Yeah, I know it was,
Okay,
but
right.
I can find excuses for anything. Right.
Maybe it'll be more like one of those propeller beanies with the little cameras sticking up off the top of your head.
And your lawyer will have to walk down the street with you with disclaimers that he can hand out for you as you go.
Alternatively, they can be on a little toy drone flying above me.
There you go. Shoulder pad.
The PC World shop around the corner here already sells camera drones. I don't know what British Aerospace make of them, but they don't go that far.
Really?
I think
Wow.
at the moment people buy them and they're for kids, and the kids go in the park and fly around filming things, but it's like they fly kites, I wouldn't actually trust one of these things to lean out of my window and send it flying around the neighborhood. It'd probably fall out of the sky, and there's my investment.
You'd never get it
I
back.
think that is perfect for a journalist. It would have this long distance mic in it. It would have a voice noise cancellation, so the noise of the propellers isn't being picked up. It float along behind me like the SL camera does, and film everything I go and everybody I talk to. I want that.
And
I want that now.
And you know who else wants it? The paparazzi.
And the NSA.
it's bad enough they got long distance lenses at the moment. Can think what they do with that, do me. Anyway.
Well, I have to say that, is a reference to a propeller beanie. I thought, oh, well, I'll just haul out a little propeller beanie and put it on because I have one. But for some reason, my inventory is the only thing it's finding when I type in propeller is propeller grass, which is not at all a propeller beanie. And I'm a little frustrated here with my inventory.
They've been maintaining it during the week, and we all know what the word maintenance means to the common man.
Well,
Chaos.
I have some information on that. So
good.
Okay, I'm glad to see you're back, Tara. Maybe we'll switch over, and before Maria continues, let's get to your take on the week before you drop again.
Yeah. Well, before Skype drops me again, it's been Skype that's been mad because I get that black and red window that says, there's a problem with your connection. And you basically have to drop and reconnect. Anyway, yes, well, I started talking about the weather and was commenting on the RL sim weather in a big chunk of the U.S. where it's been bitterly cold and in some places they've been getting absurdly phenomenal amounts of snow, which has not been the case in the Pacific Northwest, happily, at least at sea level. It was cold and clear, but it warmed up and rained the last couple of days, so that's for the good. But anyway, all right, we have our weekly show and tell over on the side of the stage, and these are Kitschy Kittens from Intrigue Company. The creator is Catherine McGinnis, and that's Catherine with a Katharine. These are bobbleheads.
Oh.
And anyone who's in the US of A is familiar with bobblehead toys because they're very popular for things like pro baseball teams and various and sundry luminary public figures they get created for. And in the real world, basically, they kind of sit there, and if you pat at their heads, the heads bobble like these guys are.
I think the common use over here is actually they have very little ones that drivers put on their dashboards, and they move in rhythm with the motor car.
Yeah. Well, these guys, you touch them and their heads move. You touch them again and they stop. So anyway, I thought they were just terribly cute, and of course they're kitties, and we know I have a soft spot for kitties, and so anyway, so they constitute our cute show and tell for this week.
Thank you.
Okay. I was going to kind of do just a little update on the Second Life massive maintenance this week. That in the process of tracking down the information, I've arrived at a conclusion, and that is if you're interested in keeping up on news, official, semi-official, or official news from Linden Lab in Second Life, then you need to pay attention to the community forum in the official Second Life side, not what turns up on the dashboard, because there's lots of things that don't ever make it to the dashboard. And one of these is an extended explanation of why this past week they did restarts every day on various sims. And the reason is this. This actually goes back to late July when they had a hardware failure that took down 4 of their latest generation sim hosts initially. And it was initially attributed to a random failure, but and the machine was sent off to their vendor for repair. However, in early October, a second failure took down another 4 machines, and 2 weeks after that, 4 more went down. Ooh. At this point, that's a lot of stuff going down. Each host lives inside a chassis along with 3 other hosts. These 4 hosts all share a common backplane that provides power, networking, and storage. The failures were traced to overheating and subsequent failure of a component on those backplanes. Mm. So basically, after their vendor did lots of investigating, they finally traced the root cause back to a hardware defect in the backplane component. And so Linden Lab did an on-site visit. They poked and prodded and basically checked everything over. And so in order to get everything updated and all the faulty stuff out was what last week was about. And so they were an unfortunate side effect of the critical maintenance work being done. So that this wasn't just fiddling around with updates or making changes willy-nilly, but rather to deal with some obviously serious hardware issues that were going to continue to hit them on the posterior until the faulty equipment was all replaced. So that's the story behind
behind the chaos. Yeah,
behind the many scheduled issues of maintenance this past week. Couple of other interesting things. I think this has perhaps kind of gone a little bit beneath the radar, but Linden Lab has been kind of quietly divesting themselves of a number of things that Ebe's predecessor experimented with the various new programs. And the most recent announcement was that they have abandoned patterns. But the other piece that they abandoned a couple of weeks ago, or they actually sold, is Desura.
Yeah.
They had picked up Desura, which is supposed to be an open source or small developer sort of
distribution, really.
Distribution setup, and it was sold to Bad Juju Games, who acquired it from Linden Lab. So, an interesting kind of series of kind of getting rid of stuff that isn't working. And basically what Linden Lab is now down to is Second Life and
Bloxworld.
And Bloxworld only. And in an article, just a minute, let me find it, in VentureBeat with Ebe here recently, what's interesting is, as far as them holding on to Bloxworld, is he said we're learning a ton about how to make creation easy and fun, and we're still evolving the product, but we're already up to just about 400,000 monthly users for Bloxworld. It's a top-rated game in the education category, amongst other things. So it's that particular one has gotten, it's clearly gotten traction.
And I actually saw their new interface, and it actually looks way more advanced than the early one I actually had a fiddle with one time, I think.
Yeah, well, apparently it's also turning into a rich ecosystem for user-generated content, and it's also very kid-focused, and it's basically kids in the 6 or 7 to 17-year-old range. Which is a significant demographic, and I think we can give Hamlet a little credit for the observation that it's also a key demographic for Second Life version 2, whatever that ends up being named, because 2 to 3 years from now, a lot of those kids are going to be turning 18 and start looking for even richer creative palettes to use. So
I did see some comments as well that sort of made it sort of sound like Bloxworld was really Second Life's equivalent to Minecraft as well in its elementary nature. So, and that's Minecraft, of course, is huge. So if they're going for that market,
well, it's obviously it's the one of the several that they ran up the flagpole that has had a reasonable amount of uptake and a number of salutes, and just in monthly users is within hollering distance of where Second Life's monthly users is, but the other point that was, I think, maybe came out of that VentureBeat article, or it was someplace else I saw it, and kind of following all this, is that the rationale for this is, as Ebby has very flat-footedly stated, is to put the energy into Second Life version 2 by whatever name it ends up being. So that's the reason, and it makes good sense. So
the other thing I think the good thing about Bloxworld surviving is that it's like if you have a win and you start 6 things and have 1 win and the other 5 are flops, fair enough. But this one actually is an iPad, or probably multiple tablet by now, sort of focused application, which in itself is a great departure. You know, the experience they get with a tablet app in Bloxworld will probably count towards a loss in terms of making SL2 work on tablets and things. So.
Yeah, well, I certainly would anticipate anything that they're developing is going to be, you know, is going to work well and on whatever the current generation of tablets is by the time it comes out. One other, let's see, another interesting little Eat Your Vegetables item. This is from an RPA. Actually, I've got a couple more things here from an RPA, and the third-party viewer at weekly meetings. Microsoft, you know, I make snide remarks about Microsoft all the time, and I will probably continue to for as long as I'm capable of making remarks. But Microsoft has just issued Visual Studio Community 2003, which allows developers to create applications for free so long as they are not intended for commercial gain, which applies clearly to third-party viewers. And it's hoped that this is going to enable third-party developers will in the future be able to build their viewers with exactly the same software as the lab is using.
And actually, this actually extends to OpenSim too. I know Justin Clark Casey was very excited about this, for example. You know, that it's going to make compiling things for OpenSim a lot easier for a lot of people as well. Right,
yeah. Okay, and the other item, just a minute, where'd it go? It must be back up here at the top. No, I got that. I got that.
You must have the same browser as me.
No, it's my long list here. I think something didn't get pasted over. All right. Well, let me see how well I can summarize. Well, the beta. No, that's all right. The beta version of the new Inworld managed marketplace is now available.
I thought that was odd because it's on the beta grid. It's on the DT, and I know when you log into a DT, you've got all your lindens and everything else, but there's no real transactions going on the beta grid. So
well, I think the point of this, though, Mal, the real focus is the viewer managed marketplace. The benefits for this and the testing is by merchants.
Right.
It's the merchant side of things that those are the ones who need to beat this up.
Yeah.
And provide the input, because the features that it's supposed to be enabling are things that will streamline how merchants interact with the marketplace. And because right now using the marketplace as a merchant is a real pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So it makes absolutely perfect sense that they're setting up the beta that way. Yeah, it's open beta testing, and the beta viewer for that is also available for use on a DD. You'll find a long article about it in an RPA's blog, which is modemworld.wordpress.com, and you'll find the official word about that from Linden Lab in community.secondlife.com.
Do you, just incidentally to this, do you think, and anybody else for that matter, do you think this will raise the issue of, if you have a highly functional user manipulated marketplace, whether this will degrade the value of things like Inworld shops and things like that? So no, okay.
No, I don't think this has because there've been enough changes already that there are a certain percentage of merchants, and who knows what the percentage is, who are exclusively in the marketplace. They don't have an Inworld shop at all.
Yeah.
And there have been merchants who have downsized and do a lot of, just because of how much volume there is going through the marketplace. But I guess speaking for myself, I find there's some things that I will shop for in the marketplace, but I'd like to see them World.
And I have actually, to be honest, I have actually seen, but it works both ways. There'll be a shop advertising something exclusive to the marketplace, and something on the marketplace saying there's another item that's exclusive in World. So they obviously do their best to keep traction between them. But you're right. I mean, I like window shopping and seeing things and picking them up. But if I tend to go to the marketplace only if I'm actually really want to look up something like a special camera or something, where I want to do a thorough search criteria thing to see what's around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot easier to search for stuff on the marketplace than it is to do it using Inworld search.
Oh, yeah, but it's certainly more than teleporting to every shopping arcade under the sun. It's a big world.
Yes,
I know when
indeed.
you're making a machinima and you need a quick prop or a quick something or other, marketplace can really be helpful.
Yeah.
When you're in a hurry.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And last item is LEA land grant applications are currently open. This is round 8. And important to notice that the application deadline is November 30th, and that's coming up really soon. So if you have interest in an LEA grant, let your virtual fingers do the walking on the web to leia-sl.org, where you'll find the application. Notification deadline is by December 15th, with a SIM handover and public announcement on January 1st. And the round ends on June 30th. So this is the round for having a SIM for 5 months to do something wonderful, creative, and amazing with.
Yay, just what we want.
And I know from previous rounds that they really encourage folks who've never applied before, who have an idea, have something they'd like to fiddle with, to apply. Do it. Go for it.
It's
Great.
so much fun to have a whole sim to experiment with. I mean, you can just do anything with it. It's overwhelming. You have to narrow down your choices.
I have been. How many times is it, Karima? I've visited you in the course of the last week. I mean, apart from the Vortex visit with Safari,
quite a few. You were my Monopoly tester.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I came to my big Monopoly board, and I went on a train ride, and we figured out a few surprises for the train ride.
We're going to work on your idea, by the way.
And for those who complain about me not changing my costume, believe me, I went into a rather leaky train wash. And my avatar got as thoroughly washed as did the train I was riding on. I camered in on myself, and I was obscured by bubbles. Yes, it was. But we'll come to that later. Okay, I think. Right. I think what we'll do now is we'll switch back to Maria. Winter and Karima, if you want to, if you've got anything to say while we're talking or whatever, do feel free to comment in the conversation. But I guess we'll get Maria's news out of the way, and then we'll probably move to Winter, and then to Karima about specific things, and then we'll just move on to our general open-ended gossip after that. So for now, I'm going to switch the camera to Maria.
All right. Okay. So, following up on more film news, tomorrow there's an Immersed conference going on in Toronto, and it's got some filmmakers who are going to be speaking, doing keynotes, who are going to be talking about 360 videos and movies. And Jaunt VR will be there. And Jaunt VR, I guess I mentioned them earlier. Oh, they're the ones with the Paul McCartney video.
Yeah.
So this is the leading camera for filming in 3D. They're going to be there. Also speaking of 3D movies, have you talked about the Banshee chapter yet, Mel? It's the Oculus Rift movie. It's supposed to be the first movie filmed in 3D, and it's got some brand name people in there. Zachary Quinto, the creepy guy from Heroes.
Oh, no, I haven't. To be honest, I've started falling back a bit on, especially from Motor VR, where every day there seems about 50 new Oculus or virtual reality movies or experiments coming along, and I tend to try and keep focused on the things that are innovating, the innovators. Yeah.
Well, this is supposed to be the first full-length movie for the Oculus. So I just posted a link to it in the Skype chat so you can pick it up. So I thought it was interesting. I've been meaning to put a note on it about hybrid business, but I haven't yet. But I will. So if you're in Toronto, there's a conference going on. So 3D movies are a really big area, and it looks like it's going to be one of the first actual big deployments of virtual reality. Because in a movie theater, you sit in one place, you sit in a chair, and that works out for virtual reality because usually people who have the headsets are just sitting in a chair. You don't want to walk around with a headset on your face. You don't want to trip over something and die.
And it's also a very economic way to deploy the hardware initially, until the price comes down, so you can have it at home. Yeah.
Plus, if you're just watching a movie and the only interactivity you have is turning your head to see what's happening, along the sides, then that's a low level enough of interactivity that you can do it in a smartphone. And we've talked about this before as well. The smartphone apps are really exploding. So many devices, so cheap. The only person who doesn't have a Google Cardboard yet is me. I'm really starting to feel embarrassed about it. I'm going to order one soon, I swear. But I was holding out for the Volvo one. I thought I would get a free one from Volvo, but I was too late. I pulled up the app on a Tuesday evening instead of first thing Tuesday morning like I was planning to. I should have scheduled it on my calendar.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Speaking of conferences,
yeah.
The world's largest virtual reality event will open next month in Florida. More than 500 corporations, government, and military organizations are meeting in Orlando from December 1st to December 4th. So if you're down there, that's going to be very interesting. Keep an eye on what's going on. This is where the big money is being spent on virtual reality. So it's not necessarily immediate impact for consumers, but all the research that these guys are doing eventually will trickle down to the general public as well. And it proves the concept for big business. So I'm excited about it for that reason. Speaking of big business,
actually, while we're on conferences,
yes,
I think it is actually since last week's show, certainly the last recorded one. The Government Virtual Worlds Workshop is to be held in March, and Avacon are going to be involved with putting that on too, which I think is great. Moving on from the OCC, that will be in March next year. Federal Consortium of Virtual.
And that will involve the Moses Grid as well, which also participated in this in the OpenSim conference, and they're a huge OpenSim grid. And not only are they an OpenSim grid, they are an OpenSim distribution. They package up their little government-friendly system, OpenSim system, and they are distributing it to a whole bunch of government agencies. They're not allowed to talk publicly about which agencies have it and what they're doing with it. But I hear that it's quite a bit. So that's also pretty exciting.
Yeah. We won't hear what the NSA are doing with it. Actually, there's something else. I forget whether you covered it or not. And I didn't mention that. There was a couple of blogs, one blog, I think, the recent part of the week about banks and financial institutions using virtuality as a method of interacting with Oculus Rift and statistics.
Speaking of banks and financial institutions, Fidelity Labs has rolled out an app called Stock City. And it's for the Oculus Rift, and it's also for the web. And what it does is it basically uses a virtual city with skyscrapers in it to be a kind of bar chart, a 3D bar chart for your stocks. So it's really a 3D visualization tool. And you can fly all through the city It took me a little bit of practice to fly using the website because it uses a different system than the Second Life. I kept trying to hit Control Alt mouse, and it's like no, it's OP arrows, But it gives you a little cheat sheet right there. You can click on the keyboard commands if you need help. So
some years ago, I guess they probably pioneered it. Dayton, up in the Midlands over here, used to in Second Life and OpenSim, they used to bring in the statistics. And they used to bring in, you would take what was an ordinary pie chart on the web and you bring it into a virtual world, and then you'd extrapolate the third dimension. So you would actually be able to walk around a pie chart and not just see heights of towers and a timeline, but you'd have another dimension too. So you could really explore statistics that really don't tell you enough on a pie chart by giving you another.
Well, this one doesn't have an avatar, so you're just a camera floating around. And you could do this in like just WebGL or HTML5 or Unity or Flash or something. So doing it for the Oculus Rift, I think, is probably a little bit of overkill. But if you happen to be a Fidelity customer and you happen to have an Oculus Rift, this is a cool way for you to look at your portfolio and tell people, oh, yes, I was just flying around this virtual reality simulation of my portfolio, and just casually drop it into conversation.
I'm also imagining things like, I'm no expert on this sort of stuff, but, stock market floors, for example. And, you see all these human beings rushing around bidding here and bidding and buying and doing all that sort of stuff. But I presume there are kind of supervisors that work there. And, I could imagine on a stock market floor or something, you would have personnel who were who were dedicated to, watching everything going on in 3D via Oculus, and then passing the trends and messages down to the buyers, sellers, or however.
I used to cover stock markets for a long time, and I've been on stock market floors. Usually, you've got money makers trading the really, really big, transactions on the floor, and everything else happening electronically. Now, of course, all of that has moved electronic. So because there's the being physically present next to somebody or virtually physically present next to somebody adds significant delays compared to doing it online. And in a stock market where every second can be worth millions, it's pretty much impractical to do it that way. There are certain things where time is less sensitive. For example, business deals, where you might want to talk to somebody first and sound them out before sending them money. And for those kinds of things, like a business expo, I think that this would be a really, really great thing, especially when you can bring virtual mock-ups of your products.
And and actually, now I think about it, presumably, just money flow and things like that, not in the stock markets, but even in an individual company where you want a cleaner view of the complexities of the way money is traveling around and things like that you can't get in a 2D graph or whatever.
Yep.
Fascinating. Yeah.
All right. So I put out the stats report on November 17th, 2 days late. It normally goes around the 15th of the month, but I've been late on everything this month. And we have had increases across the board. The number of regions increased by almost 2,000 standard regions. The grids gained over 8,000 new registered users. And the number of active users rose by an even 1,900 this month, mostly due to the community conference going on. AviWorlds was the big gainer with land because they've been merging with a bunch of other grids. We've talked about it on previous shows. They've merged with the big racetrack grid, Next Reality, and a couple of other ones. And they've also been giving away free land. Now, this might surprise you because when Alex was on the show, Alex, who's the founder of AviWorlds, was on the show a couple weeks ago, he said that his next plan is to increase the price of land to create an in-world land resale economy. Remember that?
Yes.
Well, he's still giving away free land, free quarter regions, and it's selling land cheaply, because I don't think that high price strategy went anywhere for him. It didn't go anywhere the first time around. I don't really expect it.
And to be honest, it's early days too. I mean, Tilly's very much more established.
No, it doesn't matter how established you're gonna get. He has competitors.
Yeah, well,
So-
that too. Yes.
So in fact, he posted this note. So that on one of the social media channels, he said, "Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna give away the cheap land until we dominate and all our competitors are out of business. Then we'll switch to the high price strategy." I mean, obviously that's everyone's goal, to be a monopoly, and then they can charge whatever they want. Yes, I do not think that this is a very likely.
I mean, you can't complain that he doesn't come out with it.
He comes right out and says it. Yeah. So, and we've had a whole bunch more downloads of the OpenSim software. Almost 2,000 downloads this month. Now, these numbers are not correct because I only had 167 downloads of the standard distribution. And it looked like their stats page had crashed again, and that happens a lot. So I'm kind of sorry about that. Inworlds, as usual, was the most popular grid, followed by Metropolis, Avenation, the Community Conference, Island Oasis, Kitely Craft, Islands of Enlightenment, which is an educational grid, popped up. Then Third Rock, Franco Grid, and Lost Paradise. So if you want to check out any of those grids, that's where you're going to find the most people. OpenSim Creations is still down. So Logicamp, which is a French language Belgian grid, has posted a few items online in its web boutique market, where you can download XML files and upload them to any grid using Imprudence. They plan to make it possible for people to upload and share content as well. Third Rock Grid added some malls. They're also in the process of going hypergrid enabled, so I'm paying attention to that a lot. They're in the middle of an upgrade, and they should be on the hypergrid any minute now. They've been giving away some free regions. First month free regions. And then after the first month, their regions cost just $8 a pop for 15,000 prims. So we're starting to see some really nice competition for the under $10 regions in OpenSim, which I think is a great thing for anybody looking to get into OpenSim. They don't want to spend too much money. They don't really need a high-powered region. They want to they need something small to practice playing with and to see how they like it. This is a great way to get started.
And it's great to get traction to the hypergrid and open
Exactly.
sims for that. I mean, Karima, for example, how many places have you got now? They're mostly you're mostly in
9.
Kite. You got 9. Yeah.
9 worlds, yeah.
Are they all in Kitely?
Oh, they're all in Kitely, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Although you do stuff in Second Life and other places too. But yeah, I mean, it's an attractive proposition though. You can't imagine doing that in Second Life, can you?
Oh, there's no way. I have a full sim here in Second Life, and that's it. I've had it since 2008. It's pretty amazing. It's like one of the older sims around that's still chugging along. But I could never do more than one, and only because of help from my friends, can keep this one going. But I have
Right.
9 on Kitely, and I still have it. I'm from the grandfathered system. I came in when Kitely was doing the beta. I came in early part of 2011. D.B. Bailey brought me in, dragged me in to Kitely, and I'm actually getting like 20 worlds for $35 a month. I'm paying for the visitors, but it's I'm not paying for uploading. So really, I can host I can definitely host a safari every month and still really not feel it. So yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so elsewhere on the hypergrid, Dorina's World is having an oil painting exhibit. This is one of the smaller German language grids, so this would be, if you were looking for an opportunity, for a reason to go check it out, this is it. And I have the latest Kitely market statistics, and the number of non-exportable items actually shrank. So the number of exportable items that you can take to the hypergrid with you jumped up dramatically, 20% this month, with more than 500 product variations, new ones now enabled for delivery to other grids. So really, the merchants on the Kitely market are really embracing the hypergrid. And one of the reasons could be is that 2/3 of all the items that are bought in the Kitely market are ones that are exportable. So shoppers really prefer the exportable items. Even local Kitely residents prefer the exportable items. And I can see why, because if you're a Kitely resident, you can save an entire region, right? But you can only save the items that are exportable or that you've created yourself. So if you don't want a whole bunch of holes, in your region where like your commercially bought houses or your trees are, your landscaping is, then you have to buy everything so it's exportable. So that makes a lot of sense.
And just from PR purposes, Kitely, the marketplace, is becoming established as an open-sim vendor. So obviously people who aren't in Kitely, who want to shop, are going to have to buy things with export permissions.
Right, yeah. But it's interesting that even Kitely residents are still buying things with export permission. So everybody wants to
agree.
exportable
I won't buy
stuff.
anything if it's not exportable. I agree.
Right, because you can't save a backup of it,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so crooks can save backups, but honest people can't. How fair is that, right? Yeah. So if you're a crook and you steal it and you pay nothing, you can make all the backups you want. If you're an honest citizen, if you paid for the content, you're out of luck.
This sounds familiar. Where have I heard this before?
Yeah.
But that's, of course you want something that you can keep and carry with you. That's great.
Yep. So they now have... they had the biggest single increase since the market became hypergrid enabled in March. So it really looks like it's really seems to be taking off. It's really become the leading marketplace for the hypergrid. It's not even a question anymore.
Sure.
Let's see what else. Virtual Highway, which is a closed mid-sized commercial grid, hold a Queen tribute concert yesterday. Oh, we missed it. To benefit the St. Jude Children's Hospital. And they've opened Business Park where companies can rent office space. And they are working on their Christmas region called, where is this? Was this North Pole region. Oh, so they have free stores available for merchants to sell Christmas items on the North Pole. And so if you're on the virtual highway, go ask them about it and get that. So we have some new grids on our list, including ATEC Grid, and we talked about ATEC last month. They're a joint project between Tango Grid and Winter. Will talk about this in the CloudServe OpenSim hosting company. OS Grid is still not up, but we have some progress being made. They're almost all the way through its recovery, and they have begun setting up the servers even before recovery is completed and they know whether this last and final try worked or not. They're ordering the servers and they're installing the operating system and everything else to get it going. The OpenSim OS Grid will be back up whether or not the recovery works. The managers are promising, this is James Stallings II, who currently runs the grid. He's promising that it will be come back up whether or not the recovery works. He said, though, that it's not going to happen tomorrow and it's not going to happen this week or next week. So still needs to wait a little bit. Meanwhile, the LBSA Plaza, which is the welcome region for OS Grid, is up, and you can teleport to that. And if you go to the virtual OpenSim virtual.
Is that the same as Right Plaza? Or does that include Right Plaza?
No, LBA Plaza and Right Plaza are two separate places. Right. One is called LBSA Plaza, and the other one is called Right Plaza.
No, I had the impression that my default login point, that the welcome area was Right Plaza for some reason. I used to log in there all the while.
Bright Plaza is the place to go for OS Grid meetings. That's their official grid headquarters, and it also has a very large freebie area. I posted the hypergrid link into Skype chat here, and it's a kind of a weird link: plaza09.osgrid.org:14051.
If I go to this LB, Plaza, I am actually logging into OS Grid, presumably. And
no, it's not the full OS Grid. It's just that one region that's up.
Right, so it's really like hypergridding. So, okay, fair enough.
So it's kind of like, a campground, while your house is down to like a little tent that's pitched in the yard.
Yeah.
Kind of. While you're waiting for the house to be,
while you're waiting for the insurance company to cough up. Except I don't think that analogy quite works with OS Grid, but never mind.
Yeah. I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Is Wrights Plaza the only jump-off point to begin hypergridding from? I mean, I know you go from SL to Wrights Plaza.
The entire OS Grid is hypergrid enabled, so you can jump from almost any region on OS Grid, and you can jump to almost any region from OS Grid from 150 other hypergrid enabled grids.
You mean grids, so you can jump from there to almost any other grid. And like if I wanted to go from Third Rock to OS, would I be able to do that?
Well, right now, no, because neither one of them
they should be open by now, right?
Well, Third Rock is still not. It's still not on the hypergrid, and OS Grid is still closed. But say you can go from Kitely, for example, you can go from Kitely to Metropolis,
and you could log in with your conference avatar and hypergrid anywhere.
From the conference, from the conference grid.
I was just
so you can go from almost any region on Kitely to almost any region on Metropolis to almost any region on the conference grid to almost any region on Craft Grid, Franco Grid, German Grid.
It's time for a hypergrid hunt. Just one prize on each grid. You can get 10 or 15 grids.
I'm saying almost, because any region owner can, if they want, turn off hypergrid connectivity on their personal region. If they don't want...
Yeah, maybe they want it,
Something we found recently, though, I suspect only affects certain things. It happened in Moses and in Singularity viewers. Is that when we're on the Safari, we quite often get into have permissions in it fail when we're trying to hypergrid, and the actual easiest solution is you just hypergrid home to wherever your home grid is, and then hypergrid again direct to where you want to go, and that usually works. But you do sometimes find a few hiccups in the great hyperhighway.
And same thing, sometimes if you're hypergridding from home to somewhere else and you can't go, if you hypergrid to another grid first and then jump over, sometimes it works. It's insane. Nobody knows why. They're still working on this. So many things have to work perfectly for a hypergrid connection to take place, that if any one of those things fails, the hypergrid jump fails.
Oh, we're used to that,
That's no problem. One thing I did notice in the week, it wasn't actually a post anywhere. I think it was a Twitter from Justin Casey or something about having fixed the business of some attachments disappearing on hyperjumps.
That was a couple of weeks back,
Yeah. Well, it's useful if you want to hang on to your hair and stuff. Your wig.
Yes, it is very nice. Yes. Yes. So, let's see. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was that I heard some criticism, and in fact, you mentioned this earlier today, that we're kind of in this golden age of virtual reality before the big brand names are coming in, and as a pro-business kind of person, I have to say that there are some excellent reasons to welcome big business to virtual reality. I know, yes, we all love those indie games and stuff, and they're very creative and unique and so forth. But for the most part, when you have a choice between an indie game made by one designer it's probably going to make you sick, and you have this experience from a really, really big company associated with a big brand, people are going to want to see the big brand one. And the big brand is going to be very careful not to make you sick. So they're going to spend a lot of time and money optimizing it to just get the perfect experience.
I think when I referred to the golden age, I was actually thinking how many reservations I have about the way the web is going these days. And it's not so much we're long past the days where it's a level playing field. Websites do look different now, and they look considerably different. You've got a lot of money poured into the back end. But the fact that it's what I call monopolization, really. The Googles, the Yahoos, the Facebooks and stuff. And, we seem to be moving to the point where the web is just going to be like a terminal, and there'll be ways around it. You always get to get where you want, I hope. But these big monopolies are just fighting to have the control points, and even controlling your ISPs, and sort of this is a long way down. This is a long way down the road from the beginning of the web, and I often think won't it be awful if when virtuality and virtual worlds become ubiquitous, if we're only limited to certain players buy up everything because they got the money, and we only got 3 choices.
See, the thing is that the popular sites do get more popular, but we're also getting the long tail. So there's a few big sites with tons of visitors on one end, but there's also tons and tons of sites finding their niche audiences on the other. And both ends are increasing on the web.
They grow over time. It's like YouTube hits. You start out with 10 hits, you got 1,000 and 2,000.
But you can't overlook either side. You can't say, oh, look, there's all these small sites. The web is all about small websites. Or you can say, oh, look, the web is all about this one big site. We do have both. We have both.
Yeah, we have both, but you've only got to look at the way the big companies, the Yahoos and the Googles and the Apples and everything, take over all those small companies as soon as they either to shut them up or to incorporate them good ideas.
But they don't. The number of small companies is proliferating. The long tail is extremely long. Now, so you do have mergers, but even though you have some mergers, the new startups are starting up at a much faster rate than existing companies are merging. And you never know which new startup is going to explode and get popular.
Oh,
and I think the same thing. So I think the same thing is happening in the virtual reality. The big players are coming in. They're drawing attention. They have really high quality experiences with high quality hardware, 3-minute sessions, which is perfect. They're really attracting people to it. But at the same time, we're getting so many indie developers coming in. And so much new stuff are exploding as well. And I think both of those trends are really good for the technology. And that is it for my update.
Yay! Okay. Well, we can start opening up the floor a bit, can't we? I'm not entirely sure where to start here.
Speaking of one of the smaller grids.
We there's no natural segue here. Basically, Karima's installations, of course, as she mentioned a few minutes ago, 9 regions basically in Kitely, all hypergrid enabled, and we've been talking a lot in the week. Karima is also quite a traveler because she travels all over the hypergrid finding things that she can put together for her things. So very, very open sim focused here with Kitely. But I think maybe the first thing to move into is winter, because there's 2 things to bring you in on. One, of course, is Tangle Grid. But the other one, of course, is this new destination site. And if I may, I think I'd actually like to start. If you tell us about the new website, the destinations and the social index and everything else.
The current journal.
Yes.
Current journal. Okay. Yes. Hey. First of all, thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here today. I did manage to get to watch it a couple times before I came in, so I was prepared for it a bit.
Vague idea of the chaos you were getting yourself into. Fair enough.
I know I was getting into a whole bunch of tech stuff with this new new website right before, and I'm like, I don't even know if I'm dressed in Second Life. I really need to check that before I show up on Inworld.
I know, you're rather smart. You've even got the bow tie on, so good on you.
Yeah. Actually, this is my favorite avatar. It actually looks pretty close to me, so I like that. I wish you could copy it from grid to grid.
It does. Your picture,
Well,
your real life picture and your avatar really are similar. I noticed that earlier. Good job.
I keep meaning to get round to this, but Maria can tell you this, as can Fleep, Fleep Took. I mean, they both have almost identical avatars everywhere. It's simply a matter of creating the skin for yourself and your shape offline, and then quite literally importing it into each platform.
That's what I do.
Well, your shape you can do easily. Just have Second Life open, have OpenSim open, copy the numbers.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
But what's much trickier is skins and hair, especially female. Speaking of the degree to which hair is a significant feature.
So this is where you buy an exportable one on the Kitely market, and then you can upload it to everywhere you need it.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's always a workaround.
That is, of course, assuming you can find something on the Kitely market that you like.
Yes, I was going to say we need more creators.
You can make
hair.
You could just wear part of the hair.
We all need more creators.
Yes, we do.
Yes. Well, I made my skin from scratch, so I'm super proud of that.
Very good.
Oh, nice. Very good.
Yay.
So, Winter, something that we've talked about on the show a number of times, actually, particularly with Maria, is like effective search systems and things like that, and diaries and calendars, for OpenSim, and everybody should have a Google Calendar, and we should aggregate them so we got events listings and destinations and everything else. It sounds to me that this is the sort of thing you're hoping to work on with the new site.
Yeah, it's basically, I don't like to use that word, but it's basically like a tabloid. So it'll be covering destinations, it'll be covering fashion news, it'll be covering social events, it'll be covering expos in Tango Grid, which we'll be talking about. It'll be covering anything to do with the social aspect, because I hate business. So it's a perfect twin of Hypergrid Business, because
it's
we'll
not
cover the
Sounds
social
like a
side.
match made in heaven to me.
I'll give you a scoop for the scandal portion. Mal and I are so polite to each other on air. Offline, we are bitter enemies.
Eh?
Yes.
I
have.
So there's an idea for
I can make something up too. I can really make something.
And I had an affair with Brad Pitt.
I'm watching him in Cool World
I bet you.
right
I bet you
now.
Pet can
I have
dish.
him on TV.
Oh, you
right
could
now.
dish, Pet.
I would never dish.
I've
You know
heard
what?
you're
There's
not the
not
only
that
one
much to
who
dish
has.
about, really.
Well, I actually find this fascinating because, we are very focused. We're focused on everything on this show, but there is Maria and Hypergrid Business. It's a very established resource. And it is very typical in many ways of OpenSim that people who are in, say, somewhere like Second Life or Inworld don't want to look at it. There's never anybody there. There's never anything going on, which I think is often the case now. I look at my friends list when I log into OpenSim now, and I actually do see people. But one of the intriguing things about Second Life, and many virtual worlds, in fact, is the community aspect of it. People getting together, enjoying the things they like to do, and going to places and stuff like that. And it is understandable that being no central grid, as it were, people will log into a grid and they know it's hypergrid enabled, but they stand there, they can't find anything happening. And if they do a search, they're probably only getting a search for that local grid. And they, unlike Second Life, they can't just pan around and try and find green dots because the whole thing is so tremendously big. Certainly, a big rock concert or a big fashion expo, or really lovely creative destinations like Karima's, for example, are attractions. So some central pool that emphasizes the community and the social aspect of OpenSim is something desperately needed, because I think that a lot of people think it's a good place to go and build offline and be able to make backups, and it's a good place to have a closed business meeting and a good place to have a private prototyping area where the public can't walk in. But of course, it does have all the potential of a multi-grid potential of something like Second Life. Which is sort of, I still refer to Second Life as the high street of the metaverse. You don't want to put your factory there or your offices there, but you do. It's rather useful to have a shop front there, much as we have this studio. Even though we're mostly talking about OpenSim, we're filming in Second Life because we've got the tools. We've got the tools here. We've got it's just here and set up.
Look
So
at this shot right now. It's exactly what you're talking about, Mal. Winter, the puppy, the beautiful backdrop.
Yes, I'm
it's
focused
just what
on
you're talking about.
Yeah, and I'm focused. I'm personally focused on Winter's face. So I have only just realised.
I like how that went.
You are maintaining that. You are maintaining that tantric position, which is rather nice.
Beautiful backdrop.
You said tantric.
I'd like to say something about that you just mentioned, Mal, about I used to use the metaphor like 3 years ago when because before it was like kind of like you were being unfaithful to Second Life if you went into OpenSim. It was like you had to make this choice. You could only be one or the other. You had to be fed up with Second Life and then you went to OpenSim, something like that. It wasn't, like having both, as you're saying, it wasn't done. It really was kind of, there was like you're in OpenSim, what's wrong in Second Life, And I kind of looked at it when I went into OpenSim, into Kitely in 2011. I did it like I said, this is kind of like my summer home. It's like my weekend cottage. I go there, I retreat, I build, I do things. I'm still very connected to the community, and I come back, on Monday morning, I'm back in the wonderful SL grind. But it's like, and so I said, there's no reason you can only do one. You can do both. And I think that like a lot of people didn't believe that, 3 or 4 years ago. And I think more people are, and these wonderful hypergrid safaris are showing us that there are people out there. You can get 33 avatars on the German grid in a wonderful folk concert last week.
I know. I mean, we have enough people on that safari to crash a grid. If we need to. But also, you've only got to look at something like the OSCE conference where you can get 100 avatars comfortably on the sim. To realise that it's in some ways it's way beyond what Second Life can cope with already.
Winter. We have a calendar on Hyperica, which has all the events from all the grids that have calendar published. I will happily share that calendar of events with you. You can repost it if you want or pull anything from it. But for the sake of readership, I'm more than happy to have a war over it with you.
You're just a little too feisty tonight, girl. I don't know. What do you have for dinner? What's in those cough drops?
Is it too late for me to change chairs? Petlove, you want to change chairs? You look comfortable over there.
That puppy looks innocent, but he'll keep you safe, Winter. Don't worry.
I have to say, Maria sounds like she's fancy. Maria's sounding like she wants to go to war with everybody today.
No,
but you might join up.
I'm all about marketing and promotion. And conflict brings in people. I'm sorry.
Any emotion is a good emotion.
Or we're going to have a discussion on competition. I think I remember reading that on Hypergrid Business about the importance of competition.
Of good competition.
Quite a heated discussion.
I think the wonderful concept in Second Life of drama should be completely banned on OpenSim.
No. We need
now. That's right up there with Hamlet's assertion that Second Life version 2 ought to ban what he calls pornography, but what he really means is any form of sexuality.
I personally don't give a damn, and I was joking. I will say that in the week, I think I posted it on Facebook, which isn't, all my posts there are not to do with virtual worlds, but there is a kind of Barbie doll manufacturer, or Action Man, because it's male, presumably in Japan, but I couldn't be sure. And how they can detach the arms and put arms on and put them at different angles.
It's articulated.
Well, they have detachable male anatomy now in various states.
Oh, I
of
hope they don't put it in
excitement.
strange places. Oh my God!
And when I saw this, I thought, God, the male Barbie dolls have now got
That's his arm. No, that's his.
in interesting different things that can be attached in different states. And I thought this just reminds me
Now
of
I
Second
have work
Life.
to do. We can't have this conversation right now.
No, but I just thought, my first thought when I saw it was, you can do that in Second Life.
Oh,
It's
God.
Avatar.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I must. My mind balked a bit at the thought that kids might be having access to it. Well, what the hell?
Believe
But,
me, kids will be fine.
I think in certain regions of the world it wouldn't be approved of. Put it another way. Anyway, that's an aside. But you couldn't resist dropping that in. It was quite a funny post.
Right. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm a big fan. I subscribe to a bunch of business magazines, but the only magazines I buy in a supermarket for the full cover price are the gossip magazines. So I totally am in favor of gossip as a consumer. And so I applaud Winter branching out into more grids and doing more coverage of events and celebrities and all this other stuff. And I'm looking forward to reading it. So and I recommend that everybody else does too.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting.
Well, let's move on to grids and platforms themselves. And you might as well start telling us about TangleGrid, which, of course, is hypergrid enabled.
It is.
But is a particular grid with a particular focus. Well, not too particular, but maybe you'd like to tell us about it.
Well, the focus is our expos. Being hypergrid enabled, our expos or our expositions are a showcase of the talent that is available in TangleGrid. And if you come through the hypergrid and hypergate, you want to set up your stuff, you just have to become a member of Tangle and showcase your stuff as well. So,
and these expos actually are. You often get, the RFL fundraisers in Second Life, like Fantasyville or something, that are 2 or 3 weeks or maybe a month. But these expos are actually rather special, aren't they? Because they're geared to run for 3 months at a time. If I'm, right?
Originally the expos ran for, I believe it was 10 to 14 days.
Oh, right.
That was this year. Next year we sat down and we discussed the expos and traffic and everything, and we're having, I believe it's 6 next year, and they're lasting for a couple weeks at a time.
Oh, right. So I thought it was longer. My bad there. But
it actually takes about a month to set up for an expo. Like the Christmas expo, we have a separate region where we actually set up the expo before it gets introduced to the main expo region, and it can take up to a month for them to get it set up. So it's quite a big event, Ton. Like you said, it's a big focus of our grid.
I'm probably getting confused. Like Tara mentioned earlier, the new LEA Linden Endowment of the Arts submissions, where lucky people will get a chunk of land for quite a long period of time. But in terms of traction, it's a bit like the magazine, the lifestyle blog. The longer an expo is on, especially given the time it takes to set them up, so much the better, I would think, especially when you're dealing with potentially people coming in from all sorts of other grids. Getting things publicized, open, and that viral time where it says a fashion expo, the key fashionistas turn up, and then they spread the word, and 2 weeks later, the people who read the fashionista blogs want to come.
There's a happy medium. If they stretch out too long, people show up and nobody's there.
Oh yeah,
and the volunteers get tired, and the merchants get tired. What you really want to do is you want to have all the promotions right up front to have a big opening day and big closing day events, so draw a lot of people in.
Yeah.
So exactly. Well, much like the the real world, trade shows and fashion shows and that don't last months. They last a week, or they might even last a weekend. So we're trying to simulate real life in Tangle by having, show up now or it's over. You're going to have to wait till next year.
Right.
And that's the appeal of getting people through the hypergrid. I mean, it's a lot easier than traveling, 200 kilometers in the real world. Here you travel over the hypergrid.
5,000 miles for that matter, yeah.
5,000 miles, yeah.
It's rather more instantaneous, indeed.
Plus, there's also a second factor. If it drags on too long, people will say, I'll get to it later, and then forget to come.
True, very true. I'm terrible at that.
And it gets boring. I mean, with anything, you have to keep things fresh, and you have to keep things new, and you have to keep things exciting. And if you have the same thing over and over and over for a month, people are going to okay, whatever. They want to see something new.
Yeah. How does this? I mean, is there a great deal more to Tangle Grid other than the expo grounds? Are you doing other things? Are you hosting regions for people or anything like that as well?
Are we? Not
yes,
sure the
answer is yes. It's a commercial grid. It has.
yes.
It's a regular social commercial grid that sells land, that does all sorts of other stuff too, like any other grid does.
And how, right, related to that, but back to the expo grounds, as it were. Yeah. You say, for example, you work on the Christmas Expo, understandably, you build it elsewhere, and then you deploy it in the public parts of the grid when it's ready. When Christmas is over and that expo ends, do you have the next expo ready to bring in immediately, or is there a period of time where the expo grounds are empty or used for anything else?
No, it's well, because of next year, our expos are going to be farther spaced than they were this year. This year, there was only about 2 to 3 weeks between expos, whereas next year there's going to be probably I don't even have the calendar with me because I lost everything on my computer the other day.
I have the calendar. I just posted the link into Skype. Mel, you can grab that if you want.
You have the newest one?
Right. Okay. I'll leave that. Tara will copy it across. Yeah.
Yes, I do.
There.
So right now, the 22nd. Oh, today the Winterfest Expo starts today.
Today is the Winterfest Expo. I know, it was perfect timing. I'm like, well, that's great in time for the expo.
Yay!
So I have spent the last week on the expo grounds because we got it set up, and it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's probably going to be the best expo we've had yet. That's the Winterfest Expo.
I'm going there right after the show.
Well, we'll have to. I don't I didn't arrange it, but maybe I'll have word with Thursday or something and get the safari people to land on it.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Still. An important point is we are still looking for exhibitors. I think there's 12 well, we call them shops, 12 shops available that you can exhibit your stuff. So it doesn't matter, anything winter related or Christmas related or anything like that. By all means, we want to see you at the show.
So say if I have a Christmas themed Hyperica gate, can I distribute that for free to your visitors?
For free? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one
condition
gate that we have with the expos is that people can't sell stuff there. It is strictly, you can give stuff away free, or you can showcase your stuff, and you can give away landmark. Like if you have a store in Tangle, then you can landmark people to that store and everything else. It's just you can't sell on Expo aisle.
That's refreshing. Yeah. I think that's very cool.
That's actually quite common practice as well. With exhibitions and things. So you sometimes on the last day, when you're at an exhibition, people sell their stuff off on the last day, but basically all they have with them is the stock for display.
Yeah, and that's exactly the same as in real life. A lot of times it's just a display, and they'll hand out business cards as to how to get to their business. And then, like you said, on the last day, they'll sell off the show models or the display models.
Yeah, always a fun time, the end of a expo like that, if you can get the bargains. Shop soiled slightly.
That would be really good. I'm thinking of that model. It's the first I've heard of it in the virtual world, and there are some communities in real life that are setting up and trying to establish a lot of free exchanges and barter type, dynamics in their government. And I think I would love to see a role-play sim do it properly here, and a nice film of it. That would be good.
I think it's an extremely good idea because it's a particular focus for the grid on the hypergrid. Having this permanent expo area, as it were. But also I look at, existing, huge communities like Second Life, and, I'm not particularly into posting fashionista links or anything like that, but I do scan them all coming in.
What's wrong with fashionista links?
Well, I haven't got.
That was a joke.
I haven't actually got. Well, they actually have their own syndicates. Also, I don't physically have the time to post the links. But every time, I forget there's one going on at the moment. But every time some kind of expo or fair comes up, all these individual blogs that are just blogging the "Hey, look what I'm wearing today" thing most days, suddenly all their blogs every day are concerned with this expo or this fair that's going on. And it's not just the big ones like the Home and Garden Fair or Fantasy Fair or stuff. There's a whole load of other little ones. Some are a bit arty fashion, and others are just mainstream but put on by the vendors. But whenever a collective event, where there's several designers exhibiting or they're putting work into the build, that always seems to gain a whole lot of traction over and beyond, just the blog for an individual vendor and things. So, it comes in waves, I can bet your life in 2 weeks there'll be another event somewhere that all the fashionista bloggers are writing about.
Right. You have to write about something,
Yeah.
But it provides that focus.
That's
which I think is the great idea about your expos, Winter. They'll, the more focal points that people can come to on the hypergrid, the better. It's like, a grid that has just concerts, for example, gets a reputation for being a place to see good gigs.
Rock,
and so a place that houses expos, ever-changing expos as well, gets a reputation for what you want is people to.
Expos.
Yeah, what you want is people to log in and say to themselves, now what's the expo at Tanglegrid at the moment? So they start associating, Tanglegrid as a place to find the expos. So it works both ways.
Maybe
so I'd like to.
And then you go through the hypergrid to get there.
I want to tell people that the expo will run from today to January 4th. It's one of the longer ones because you're hitting like several holidays in a row. Then after that, the Home and Garden Expo will go from January 17th to January 31st. So if you're a home and garden exhibitor, look at that for the second half of January. The next expo after that will be more than a month later. The Springfest Expo will go from March 7th to March 28th. And then my favorite, the Fashion Expo is the first half of May 2nd to May 16th. So if you're a merchant in any of those categories, you need to talk to Winter here about getting a slot in those expos.
All right.
Even if it's just putting up a big page promoting your Kitely Market store.
The only thing I could put up would be a collection of homemade Christmas cards, about 8 years worth.
I was going to say, as long as they have really nice curtains on the big page sign.
I think one very nice expo I'd like to see, though whether it's your cup of tea, I don't know. It's an arts expo. Cue Karima here because, but not just Karima, but I have seen on the travels, the safari travels especially, hopping from many different art installations to others, and they're not at all samey. that is the thing about art. It can be totally different. It can be an immersive environment, or it can just be a virtual environment with art in it, or and the nature of different artists' work can be totally different. And it's not just art. It's things like literature and storytelling. I mean, there's Nara's Nuke, but there are also there's Avalon. There are a whole load of storytelling, literature sort of focused event sims on OpenSim. So an expo that brings all the creatives together wouldn't go amiss either.
I like that idea. That sounds very nice. Yeah, it does.
Didn't Franco Grid hold an art festival, or maybe Craft Grid, one of the two artsy grids? Anyway, it was a while ago.
Yeah, there was some art show, wasn't there? It seems. Yeah, I think you're right. It did sound familiar.
I know there was a very big one in Inworld, but although of course I don't really. Well, they're not hypergrid.
Yeah.
They're off my radar. They're a walled garden, and they're not Second Life, which is the only walled garden I still tolerate.
So, Curran, are you going to be following the Inworld stuff in Inworlds and Avanation and the other closed grids?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'll be covering all OpenSim grids. So anyone can contribute from those grids, or submit stories, or submit, anything that's related to an OS grid, OS.
Are you going to send reporters to cover all the major events?
That's my hope, actually. Yeah, I'm looking
bloggers.
Into that now.
You need a bunch of bloggers to come out.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
bloggers are the best.
I'll
best
get you
reviewers
on Happy Hunting.
Oh, hunts! I would love to see some hunts.
Sure.
So Winter, you and I will be fighting over bloggers, because I need some people to cover destinations for Hyperica.
There she goes again. You're just busy. That's all. You have a lot to do.
Okay, at the moment,
you're on top of stuff.
At the moment, I like this because we got a focal point for business. Hi, Meta Maria, and we got a focal point with Winter for the social sphere. You can join up later and create leisure and business divisions or something.
No, we plan to stay nicely separate.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Well, the advantage is too that we are separate, so we're not competing with each other, and we're providing. Not everybody
Diverse
is interested in
yeah.
business.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. No, but I read some of it. And people want to have the social aspect of things as well. And I actually just looked up, there was an art show back in 2012 that spanned 6 grids.
I would also like to note that everybody out there who hates me and is boycotting
Nobody
me.
hates you.
Oh my God! You don't see my email.
Hate you. Let me add. Just give me a name. Just give me a name.
They can now go and read the current journal until they get mad at him, and then they can come back to hypergrid business again until they get mad at me again. You have a choice of people to be mad at.
Any emotion is a good emotion.
I will continue to scan the RSS feed from both and post accordingly.
And if I don't run the press release, you don't have to call me in the middle of the night to yell at me. You can just send the press release to him. Maybe he'll run it instead.
Okay.
And I can get some sleep.
I would like to move on to more creative topics, and I don't mean creative warfare. Karima,
Yes.
you have got a word in or two, but I've got to come to you. I'm so pleased to have you here. In a way, I regret we're not doing the old style show with webcams where I used to take a pause and show clips, because I want to talk to you for 2 minutes, then show a clip, and then 2 minutes more, then show a clip, because you have a well of wonderful machinima out there. You also have, and I forgot to mention this by the way earlier, that. The final judging for the University of Western Australia's latest Machinima 3D art contest is in, I think it's about 10 days, but there is actually a public poll. In other words, there's I don't know, visitors poll for the competition too. And so if you're interested in actually taking part in the people's vote, so to speak, you might want to get over to University of Australia and have a look around so you can contribute your own votes separate from the sort of main voting panel. Your votes will count. But of course, you have you have a film. You have a film in just about every UWA entry, don't you, Karima? But well, excellent one as usual.
Thank you. Well, no, really, actually, this is our third. I wanted to say, first of all, Mel actually got interested in my machinimas when I didn't even know what I was doing in like 2010 and 2011. I made a machinima series without really knowing much about machinima, but I was so, how can I explain it? It was born from a series that I did on my blog called The Colored Dreams. And it was very successful with my readers. I had a lot of readers following it, and they said, no, you should make a movie and make a spin-off. So actually, without knowing anything, I mean, really, literally, and having a very small laptop, I have a MacBook Pro, and I don't have a lot of really fancy equipment or software. I did make this 13 installment series, and I think that Mal saw all 13. I think he did, and I was just like, I didn't even know who he was, but I said, oh, this person's actually showcasing all my, I was so impressed. Thank you for that. Because afterwards I got wise and I realized that, yes, I did have something to say. I'm a poet, really. I'm a poet more than a filmmaker. But I met Natasha Rant at the MAG. She was in the Machinima Artists Guild. She was one of the moderators, and I was totally afraid of her. I talk about this in my blog. Because she was very critical and she was very good. She knew a lot more than any of us did, and so I was always afraid to show a new film because I just knew maybe she'd come down on me. But interestingly enough, she didn't really. She saw something. She just saw that I lacked, software and maybe, but that, she saw something, and she said to me one day, you and I should probably do a movie together. And I'm like, oh, really? I was like, oh my goodness, because as I said, I had great respect, more than respect, fear, really, of her and her opinions and her criticisms. And so we actually got together. I think she filmed at first a poetry reading that I was doing. I do poetry readings also in Second Life. I use either my own original music, or sometimes I will share a piece behind one of my poems that I like. But she filmed one of those, and after that, she said, "No, really, Karima, let's do a film together." So the 3 years ago, the UWA came up, and she said, "Why don't we do it?" And I said, "Okay, let's do it." So we just thought of an idea. It was called "Seek Wisdom." Was the theme, and we had never ever either of us had ever entered anything in the UWA before. It's a very prestigious machinima. For Second Life, it's the most prestigious and contest. And we actually got second place. We started way up at the top, then it was there's nowhere to go but down. It's like difficult. So last year we put our heart and soul in a movie called Window on a Train. It was amazing. It took 6 months, and it was amazing that we ever got it done. We wound up making, we had to have, like you say, looking on Marketplace or trying to find a chair. We had to find a train, a 1970s diesel train. And of course, there aren't any. So we contacted somebody to make one who was he was a fabulous worker in mesh, a wonderful designer, but he made a 5,000 prim train. Try to imagine. He gave it to us. I have a full sim, and I said, well, I'll strip down like 1,000 prims, below. I have an art gallery below. And, and I kept trying to get the locomotive on, and it was saying, no, there's not enough prims. I said, oh my goodness, a homestead can't even hold the locomotive, So,
this is Second Life, of course. Yes.
This is Second Life. Yes, this is Second Life, of course, So anyway, it was like, it was kind of a disaster, but then it turned into be something like our baby that we never thought would be born, but actually at the nick of time, right, like 10 days before the time was up to enter this. And we couldn't make this train move. We were trying to do everything with green screening. It really wasn't what Matt wanted to do. Our scripter friend, Dale Innes stepped in, and I'm not going to tell you, it's a secret, but he figured out how to make a 5,000 prim train move. And so we moved it. We put people in it. We shot it. Absolutely amazing. We only won 7th place, but we didn't care because really, well, maybe we did care, of course, but really what we learned in this was like amazing. And we learned to work in teamwork. And this is what we talk about in this year's, because the theme is transcending borders. And Nat and I, with this film, have done 15 serious films together, you know, where I've written the music, she's built the sets, we've done everything on our own. Yeah, this is our 15th, so we kind of we focused on ourselves, kind of did that kind of a focus on actually how we have transcended borders. Nat is in Germany. She speaks German. It's her native language. I'm in Costa Rica. My mother tongue is Spanish, but I'm bilingual, of course. I speak Spanish and English and Arabic also. And so we never voiced. We've never used Skype. We've done 15 movies together, just typing, you know, across the waves. You know, it's just pretty amazing. So. Yeah, I have to. She's in the audience today. She was so good. She stayed up. She's in Germany, and she stayed up. Well, you are too,
and she's
Mal.
live.
I'm in she's even an hour ahead of me. So
yeah, she's I
know it is. It's something like 2 a.m. So I'm so glad you're here, Natasha, even though you're not on stage. I hope you're enjoying
and she has this
the
killer
show.
AO that's real hard to follow.
Right. I see.
That's
yes,
great.
Right.
That's such a great story. Excuse
I
me.
see Natasha on camera now. So
amazing.
Walking around. You look like a model on the catwalk, Natasha, actually, from what I can see on my monitor. But nice fluid movements and everything else. So it's wonderful. Now, I think that's your work is just great, as you know. Well, back when we were trying to maintain like a TV show, we had the Metaverse Week in Review, and we were on live cameras and showed films, and then we moved to this, and we showed films around this. Although this is now a self-contained program, but we rather than lifestyle stuff, which I used to put elsewhere, we had on that channel, we had Machinima. And a section, and we have a destination section with nice destination films, and we had arts and music, and of course, very, very typically, actually, you fell into all of them one way or another, because you sometimes have a destination, but largely it was arts, music, and sometimes it was difficult to categorize, but who likes categories? But the whole mood of that channel tended to be, I like nice sort of not just chill out, but fairly relaxing music and beautiful virtual world film and stuff like that. And of course, some of the machinima would be storytelling too, showing storytelling in virtual worlds. But your films always seem to bridge this divide. I think the thing I liked most was the visual style and the editing was great. Is great, I should say. Was. And the music too. Just really relaxing but not, just pipe music, but, relaxing but engaging at the same time. But I think the real thing is actually the stuff I love most is where I guess it's your voice coming in, doing the poetry. It just adds an extra level of narrative that isn't the storytelling of different voices or trying to do a drama. It very much blends in with the multiple audiovisual experience. You've got the sound in terms of music, you've got sound in terms of the voice, the poetry, and then you've got wonderful vision to go with it. And I've seen very little. That actually is a sort of stamp that I think makes your work unique. I'm not saying other people haven't done it, especially in some of these competitions, but it has. I guess it's a collaborative style between you and Natasha, but it has a stamp. It has a mark of its own. It's like going to see a band or something who you can go in with a blindfold on and you always know it's that band playing. They've got a certain stamp to it, and I feel your work has that, which is something that sets it apart.
Thank you, Mel. Can you hear me okay? Did I lose my mic? No, I'm good. Oh, good. Yeah, I heard a boink and I thought I went down.
Yeah, okay. I'm forever hearing boinks. I don't know.
Well, I have to tell you a secret how Nat and I work, because first of all, I want to say, just quickly, because I think it is unique of what we do. There might be I know there's other machinima groups that are big groups that have been making, they're actually, they have big production companies and everything, but we're just a couple, 2 people couple. We're not really a couple, but we're two people. We're a partnership in this. And how we work, basically, how we have worked is that I get an idea or a poem or something, and then before I present it to Nat, I know it has to have a soundtrack because it just I wait until I can get the soundtrack and then the poem, and then I present it to her, and then if she says, well, I like it, but I think you should change this, I know we're in. I know we're in. If she says that, well, it's okay, but I think if you just change this and this, it'll be okay. And so I know that's the first step into actually doing something together. And to be honest, it's very rare to find an artist, a visual artist, a poet, musician, who is willing to give up their control of their art, to somebody else. And in order to do that, you have to be willing. Like, I paint on her canvas. Do you know what I mean? She's got the camera, but I can say, Nat, I think this is great, but why don't we do this and that? And it's like somebody coming in with a paintbrush and saying, well, I'm just going to paint this tree over here on your painting. You have to have a certain degree of
teamwork.
I used to.
You have to have a degree of really giving up selfless, egoless, really, egoless.
You have a greater goal.
I think
a greater goal.
I think that is the magic, though. I mean, collaboration, teamwork is something you can do really well in virtual worlds. But back in my somewhat younger years, I used to be heavily involved with producing comic books. And of course, that was an audio, sorry, not an audio, a visual narrative medium of the time, cinema on paper, I tended to call it. And, but, the process there, there were some geniuses who could write ink and color and everything their own work. But more often than not, you had to have a writer, you'd have a penciler who sketched out the art, and then somebody else who inked it and somebody else who painted it. And there was always that crossover with a good team. It was never a production line where the writer gave a script to somebody, they did some pencils, they inked it, and then they colored it. The good work always came out of collaboration where, the different people involved in the production were coming back to each other. And, the layout artist would say to the writer, well, maybe you could structure this narrative better so that it looks a bit more like this. And somebody in the colors or painting would suddenly come up with an idea and say, can you leave that blank so that I can play around with color separations to get this effect? And, it was back and forth.
Yeah, it's a chemistry, between, like you say, a team, or in our case, a duo. It's a chemistry that, I don't know where these chemistries come from, but I look upon it as a great gift that we found each other, because I don't think I could do this. I know I couldn't with anybody else. And I don't think any other director, editor would allow me to stick my fingers in there and say, oh, well, this is nice, but what about, but just this little teeny thing you have to change after she's changed it. Yeah, I'm also, that's right. So she allows me, and at the same time, I also allow her to say, no, Karima, this music, you have to change this. It's too slow, make it deeper, lower the tone, something, I'm open. We have to be that way. And so I agree with you. Virtual worlds is just, wow, it's just the best place in the world to be able to do this, So, yeah, it's exciting. Amen. It's still exciting.
One thing I did mean to ask you on this front, and actually you elaborated a minute just a second ago when you said you speak Spanish, Arabic, and English.
Yes.
Obviously the collaboration goes all the way, but you principally are the one who comes up with the music, as you said, especially at the formative stage where you're taking it to
She allows me to do that because actually Nat in her own films is very good at putting together soundtracks also. She does her own. She does some fabulous aviation, a lot of planes. She's wonderful. She loves to fly and film at the same time, which is not easy.
Yeah, I just posted one, Natasha's. I think it was this morning or yesterday night, which was which was definitely it was definitely aviation. There's something in their own right. It was a recreation of it. I think I'm sure it was Natasha's. It was a recreation of a vintage plane from the 30s, I think, but all meticulously made, and she put text on it, telling us what it was. So I hope it was you, Natasha, because otherwise I'm talking through my hat. But I was actually I'm very sound sensitive, so I also latch on to soundtracks and music, the ambience that goes with these things. And when I'm judging these for a contest, I copy them all offline and put them on a big screen with surround sound and stuff. So I'm checking the audio as much as the fidelity of the visuals and the creativeness. But Arabic. There is something in there is a kind of Asian influence that I think is probably the only way I can describe it in some of your music, and I wondered if that was a particular direction musically that you're keen on. There are those sort of Arabic, I suppose it's Spanish culture includes them too. There's that sort of hint of Eastern promise in your sound. I don't really know how to put it.
It's true. There is, yes, it's true. Actually, of course, I'm influenced by that. I lived, and well, I don't really talk about my real life too much. I'm one of those people that really separate my real life from my second life because it affords me to be able to live a very full second life. But I've lived in the Middle East for many years, and I'm not there now. I'm in Costa Rica, but I've lived for more than 12 years and in the Middle East. And so, yes, but that's very much a part of my life. And I'm sure very influenced because Arabic music is beautiful. I mean, it's come into its own in the mainstream now, but 15, years ago, it wasn't that popular, but it really has come into its own. Yeah, it is. So of course I am influenced by that. And Spanish music, I grew up in it. Actually, I grew up in Costa Rica. And so, it's, I'm sure I'm influenced by all those cultures, not only the music, but probably philosophy point of view of my poems too. Right? I'm probably verdades. That's right. I mean, it's true. Yeah. So it's interesting. And as I said, finding Nat has made it possible we can really do anything we dream about. And now, as I alluded to this Colored Dream series that the series that you saw, Mal, the Machinima series came off of it. It's a 16 chapter series. It's kind of a parallel universe thing I did about 4 years ago, and we're going to film that. It might be our master work. We're getting D.B. Bailey. D.B. Bailey is on to build the sets. Yeah. He's going to build the sets just like he did for. I mean, I filmed I shot pictures on his sets. On Locust at that time, and so hopefully it might take us years to do, but we have no time limit. We just want to really tell the story in the right way, And so Nat she finished reading it and she said, "Let's do it, Karima." I said, "Okay, let's do it." So we've begun that now. That's our newest project. We're working on that now. Both Kitely. We're using Kitely also, by the way, and we used Kitely in this last one. On my Vortex, I actually made, if you see the movie, I actually made the underground cable, the very strange underground cable. It's a long cable that we filmed inside, and it's just mad looking. And it really looks like that. There was no special effects, that's how it looks. So Nat just stuck her camera in there and filmed it. So, it's really
do you actually feel compelled to make films of your builds, or do you just, is it just occasionally those two over there?
No, I don't feel compelled. No, not really. And there's many builds I haven't, but Nat actually went to the Vortex and she told me something. She said she lost her horizon,
Yes.
She's a camera person, and she said that she found that so exciting. She's never been on a sim or in a world where she literally did not want to know which way was up or down. She lost the horizon. It was so immensely deep and infinite. And so she said, well, we have to do a film here. I wasn't even thinking of asking her. I said, okay, if you want to, we'll do it. So.
You astonished. I think I can safely say you astonished us all. But it's not last Wednesday, it was Wednesday before. But we just arrived there, and I think there was a stop afterwards. I was very late to anyway because I was so involved with your build. I missed the alert saying teleport to next destination. But it was quite. It was. I love psychedelic sort of stuff, I suppose, remnants of my youth. But I just arrived in that thing, and of course we arrived in that little square circle downstairs, which was lovely looking in itself. We had no idea what was going to happen when we all TP'd up into this space. But I mean, I can imagine some machinima makers would actually freak out with the lack of horizon there. But that was the beauty of it. You were kind of in this space, but a whole load of it. There was a floor there, at the beginning. But it defined it. That's the wonderful thing about the not possible in real life art. It defies physics. It defies all sorts of things that we're used to in the real world, and which makes it something else. And in your case, the color schemes, the lighting, everything was totally immersive, and I loved it. With suddenly going up in the air, and it was like the train tour, which I'll mention in a minute. But this was just through space. And I at one point I actually had to start watching the little readout where it shows me how high and low I am in my elevation, because the track, this invisible track that our tour was taking us on, was sort of gliding through and around planets and sort of going up and down. And
So it seems like it's immense. It seems like it's a
if you were
sim
driving a
build.
car, you would not have known whether you're upside down, right way up, or where you were going.
That's true. Yeah,
And
really.
it was a wonderful. It was just wonderful. It was like a suspended, suspended moments in time, and I just wanted to go up and do it again, and stuff like that. So it was an absolutely great build. But of course, over all your 9 sims, you've got and you have, of course, film bits of that. But I've seen the other stuff you're working on too, which I guess not too many people have. I think the safari is going to visit the train at least fairly shortly.
We're going to go through the train wash for the safari. We are. But no, I just wanted to say that it means so much to me that you did have a good time. And this is what it's all about. I mean, for me, I build because of my love of building. I'm a poet. I always say I'm not a builder. I can't put 2 straight lines together. I can't make a box. Really, I can't. But I can do other more like, not so, I'm not a traditional builder, but I do create. I'm a creator. And so it's a way, as like Nara says also, to bring the characters and bring the fiction and bring out of the book and out of the pages and put them onto a 3D. It's amazing we can do this, So, of course, we can put them into a 3D world and people can walk around, walk through them, hear them talk. I have movies playing in different parts and things like that, some of my videos and video characters on Sebgram. There's actually a very strange character that tells you things, how to get on a quest, explains to you where to go and things like that. And so it's really, it's skies, as I said, sky's the limit, and it's so exciting. And I hope that, I do have another world in my mind, but we'll see. We have to wait a little bit, but we're waiting for somebody to make a giant mesh head that's as big as the sim. As soon as they finish making we have the prims. We can do that. It's going to probably take thousands of prims, but that's okay. But it's going to be called In Your Head, and we're dividing it up into the left brain and the right brain, and it'll be a very interesting, like a kind of coal mine ride that goes between the left brain and the right brain. Very shaky bridges in between the two. Anyway, I have the idea.
Oh, I love it just by the description.
So that's the next one, so we're waiting. So
well, the vortex, of course, as well, just forgetting the video as an experience again. The other thing that made that was music. I forget what stream you had on, or whether a custom stream or not, but again, the music was just so much part of it.
It's part of it. I even say, nobody reads note cards, but I'm just going to say right here, I hope people read note cards. They're not that long on my sims when they come, my worlds, because really it's important. The music is always usually very much a part of it. Draw distance has to be up. Video must be on. And then just do whatever else you want.
18 gigs of RAM. No, wait. 24. Just kidding. I'm only kidding. I can't wait to see.
What we need to now do, actually, this is in Kitely, but if we can get the landmark into our chat, maybe if you type it in Skype, and then we can transfer it to the channel chat. So if anybody's on the hypergrid, this is a destination you really have to see.
Okay. I'll give you the hypergrid address or the URL. Yeah. The hypergrid?
Give me the hypergrid address. It'd be Kitely something, and then slash vortex or whatever.
Let me just get that picture.
Yeah, because this is my recommendation, folks.
Thank you. Okay,
one of the best things I've seen on our weekly travels.
Thank you. Well, just please do follow the instructions, the little note card. It's really important to use the world settings, and otherwise it's going to look like the middle of the afternoon in space. You don't want to do that. You want to look like dark, endless space. So you just do graphic settings. You have.
Did you have a script for changing wind light settings?
I have I do, but some people just take it off. They just want to see everything at sunset. It is. Yeah. It's set for.
When you're going to film something, you say, "Hey, it's dark around here. Let's make it daylight," and then
exactly.
It doesn't look remotely the same.
No, it does. There it is. I put it in Skype. Very tightly. Oh, sorry, that's float. Sorry, not float. That's float. That's about sharks. No, that's not the one. Sorry. That's an interesting one. You haven't gone to that yet, have you? float.
No, I don't think so. I've been into the giant Monopoly board, and I've been to the wonderful train ride with the train wash, or should I say,
the train wash.
The Avatar.
It really exists, It's in New York. It's called the High Bridge Train Wash. It actually really exists.
This
New York.
It's
the Hudson line. It's the Hudson Scenic Line. Well, kind of. It's really very.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that it is all based on the world.
There it is. Vector's Vortex. Sorry. Yeah. Anybody wants to swim with sharks? The other one is very interesting.
Grid.kitelycom:8002/vectors vortex. 2 words, and there's an apostrophe on the RS of vector. So I've said it over the air. Hopefully they make sense of that as well. and it's in the channel chat, which is wonderful. Okay, well, there's you've just got to.
Please, everybody's welcome.
What's incidentally, before we we're going to have to start wrapping up now anyway, but have you anything in Second Life here at the moment? I know you have one sim here too. Is there anything?
Well, I have a whole sim. It's really where should I give you that? It's called Link Island. We film all of our films above. We have a sky lot, but below, it's what can I say? It's a very artistic, romantic. Has a bolero bar. Has different art galleries. It has really cozy places. It has an underwater section. It's just public for people to just enjoy. Really great to take a friend or a couple and go and spend the time there. Should I give you a LM or just give you the address?
Yeah, just put it in Skype again. If they're in Second Life, they can just type in the sim name, I guess, to get to it.
Okay. Yeah, it's Link Island. Maybe I should.
Link Island.
Link Island, LINC. Sorry, LINC.
Okay.
Actually, I bought this from the man who originally bought it. I bought it. I didn't buy it. He gave it to me. He gave it to me in 2008. He just left and he gave it to me. It's like somebody giving you an elephant, like, thank you for it. Now I have to pay the tears.
Right.
Anyway, he gave it to me. And it actually, LINC translated for him to say, life is not complicated, which I'm not even sure I agree about that, but anyway, it was interesting. So
I could never figure out. I don't know. I still can figure out the arrangements of land and stuff in Second Life. I remember when I was quite new. I kept coming across these things. Free land. You buy it for nothing and stuff, and totally oblivious to the fact that that didn't mean you didn't sort of pay rents or estate fees or various other things on top.
That was really a mind-blowing experience to find out that I had to pay $300 the next month, but whatever, it was okay, and really.
It's much cheaper in OpenSim, of course.
Oh, that's why I'm there, and I have 9 worlds and
masses of
10.
And masses of prims.
Yes, and masses of prims. There it is. Yeah. That's Link Island. That's the entryway. Yeah, come and visit. That's a real nice place just to relax. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're in Second Life, you just type Link LINC and then space Island, and you'll find it. And
it's kind of like a well-kept secret. It's kind of like a well-kept secret. And not a lot of people know about it, but people fiercely have been coming to it since 2008, and they don't like to tell anybody. They say, "No, I'm going to keep it like this," So it's okay. I'm not trying to. It's not commercial. This absolutely doesn't have one thing.
I think I may have been there, but a long time ago.
Maybe
when you were in here more. So I imagine I must pop over and visit that.
Well, yeah, pop over really.
If it's anything like everything else I go to,
it is. It's exactly like everything else.
Absolutely wonderful.
What's a bolero bar?
A bolero bar. It's a bar that plays all Spanish music. Bolero. Boleros mostly, salsa, boleros, all Spanish music. Okay. That's that part of me. I'm like Johnny Bolero Bar. Everywhere I go, I have to make a bolero bar. I made one on the Hudson line in Kitely. Also, I have a salsa bar. I need to make a Latin bar wherever I go.
Cool.
So, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for inviting me. I really enjoyed this now. I found a lot of information too. Really great.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. I'm so glad
thank you.
I got you on the last. Have you back again?
Thank you.
At some point, and maybe try and get Natasha on the show with you.
Oh, yeah, that would be wonderful.
We can get her mic and working and speak German.
Yes, yes, and Skype.
Understand the German as well.
Yeah.
Is Natasha fairly fluent in English, or?
She writes all in English, yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, no, we're getting Natasha on too, because, of course, her own films are soon to be seen as well.
Oh,
very different, but Yeah.
Let me say something about Natasha. The one thing that impressed me so much when I was before I really knew her, but I just had met her, was that she made a film for the whole machinima community, which is how to make a mirror in Second Life. Nobody knew how to do that. She's the one. She showed the world in Second Life how to make a mirror, how to film using water to make a mirror. And she's used it so successfully. And everybody has. So many people have.
I was just going to say, I'm sure Petlove will mention the Black Mirror and Safia's, what was Safia's
that was
she
quite
could
a
do
journey.
with a mirror.
That was a journey, that mirror. It was. I wish I had known Natasha had one already.
Yeah.
No, they're very useful things. They're like the floors. There's a shop I used to go to. I think they moved now, called the Manhattery. They've made all these wildly creative top hats, thousands of them, and I've got quite a collection of them I never wear. But they used to have their shop, and they'd rig the floor so that it's a solid floor, but it was a transparent pyramid. And in fact, they cheated. What they'd done is they'd actually built the shop, a phantom of the shop, upside down under this transparent floor. But whilst you walked on the floor, you just felt like you were walking on a mirror. And it just gave you a totally different. It's a unique feel. It's just something very different. So it's amazing what you can do. You just had to put your mind to it. Now, what do I do with them prim things anyway?
Exactly.
Actually, I suspect that deep down you're a bit like me, a bit of a collector, because I run around Second Life, but particularly Open Sim, sort of pinching things. Well, not pinching them, but freebies. So, mostly it all is freebies. But,
you're a collector.
Isn't that wonderful?
I'll pick up a camera. I'll pick up a camera here or something there, and I'll think, oh well, when I've got some land somewhere, I'll dump that down. But what I tend to do is, when I've got space, I just juxtapose things together and make something new or different out of the things I've picked up.
You make art.
I leave all my things. They're all full. I mean, you can take anything. You can copy anything on any of my worlds. I mean, not that you want much, but if you wanted anything, just take a planet, take whatever you want.
Yeah.
I always leave it.
But it's I used to do. It's like the working with magazine layouts and comics and publishing, or even doing or cutout montages. I used to do when I was young. Cutting out things from magazines and sticking them up and juxtaposing them to mean different things. So you didn't create the individual components, but as a designer, you put all these components together, and I think that's as justifiable as anything else, really.
Yeah.
It's great stuff. Okay, well, as I said, we're sort of wrapping up. So what I tend to do at this point, when I can get my own camera sorted a bit here, is I tend to like to just go around everybody who's here and just ask them sort of anything else that we haven't discussed that is exciting at the moment, or anything else coming up in the immediate future that they'd like to plug or rave about. So I will start. I think I will start with Winter. If I get to him again. Yeah. It has been great to have you here, but is there anything else that, in the greater conversation as well, for that matter, that you'd like to say before we wrap up?
No, just come visit Tango and our Winterfest Expo.
Great, which we will do.
That's about it, which you can do through Hypergrid.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we have this thing every Wednesday called the Hypergrid Safari, where about 40 of us meet up, and we just visit places. About 3 or 4 stops en route each week. So a visit to that fair, I'm sure will be in order. I'll try and mention it to the right people who made the agendas.
Actually, HG Safari Channel has opened up an office in Tango. On one of my regions.
Oh, very good. So, do you know Thursa Rember? Thursa,
yes.
Thursa tends to be the one who sets the agenda for this, so she may well have it marked down anyway, but I'll mention it to her. I will certainly pop over anyway, and it opened today, so it'd be literally open now for people. Or does it open later today?
I should remind her that she can get free space on Hyperica too for an HG Safari outpost.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we got a safari club on every grid.
Write yourself a note.
I'll let her know for sure. She's somebody that's actually every time every time I log into OpenSim, the first thing I see at the top of my list is Thursday. I think she's permanently glued there, which is nice, because I can almost always be sure if I can't see anybody on my immediate list, there will be Thursday. So I'll mention that to her. Okay. Karima, again, I guess, over and beyond what we discussed, and oh God, how much of it, really? Could talk forever. But anything coming up that's caught your fancy and generally happening around, or that's happened recently?
Well, I'm just going to plug the Hypergrid Safari because I'm hooked. Really, I am. I just started going, and I don't think I'm going to miss a Wednesday. I'm actually in real life. I'm a teacher online. I'm an English teacher for Latin American students. And I have now rescheduled Wednesdays. I won't teach at that hour. I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm going to the Hypergrid. Yes, I am. I love it. Thirsa and Wiz, they've done such a great job, and everybody involved. So I just like to re-promote that, and hope to see you all there. Mm-hmm.
And it's surprising how many familiar faces you might find on this safari, actually, who haven't been necessarily seen in Second Life for a while. So
that's true.
Yeah,
especially the artists. That's so true. Yes.
Yeah. This is where you lot gone.
Yeah.
It's almost as bad as this new Facebook group, the SLers for Life, which is, they had a little. It was actually during the conference weekend, and I just briefly went to their meetup for an hour, and so I don't know, a Second Life sim with about 50 people on it, couldn't move. But faces I had not seen for donkey's years, just coming back to say hello. Yeah, good stuff.
So thank you again, Mel, for inviting me, and I really enjoyed this. It was very interesting.
Absolute pleasure
for me to hear everybody. Thank you.
And we'll see you again. We'll have you back for sure. Okay, Maria.
Well,
anything else?
I plan to be doing a survey of OpenSim hosting providers this week. Hopefully before the holiday. But I'll probably have it last through the end of next week so that people have time to take it. I'm doing researching a story about more breedables. This is bird breedables in OpenSim. So I'm very excited about that because I like animals, even though I hate people. What else?
I'm just the same, no worries.
What else am I doing? Well, I plan to be visiting the Winterfest Expo on Tangle Grid, and I hope there's no paparazzi, hint, hint, stalking me, hint, hint, taking pictures of my outfits, hint, hint, hint.
We actually, Grand Journal has an office on the expo grid, so you'll see me a lot there.
It's funny, when I logged in today, about an hour before the show, I was actually amazed to see everybody already here or logged in, because they normally arrive at the last minute, and I thought, Maria must have forgotten to get a new costume last week or something. But you were here.
Because I heard that I had to reinstall the viewer.
Ah.
Yeah, I heard from Winter here who had to reinstall the viewer.
Ah. I think the second Life viewer updated a few weeks ago. I think
I had to reinstall it today.
Yeah.
So,
fortunately, I missed that whole restarting mess they did there. So.
And I was here last Saturday. No, I was here last Saturday. Yeah. So a new one must have come out this week.
Right. Well, I'm in Firestorm, so I don't give a damn.
I'm on Firestorm and OpenSim. I like to keep the two separate.
I'm on Firestorm and OpenSim. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why I usually use. I usually use the Moses viewer in OpenSim, which is Firestorm, because a Firestorm for Second Life and a Firestorm for OpenSim don't sit very nicely. They seem to get a collision with their caches and things, and it just wasn't worth it. So I use Firestorm for Second Life and anything else for OpenSim. But Moses is not too up to date, but it's quite nice. It looks and feels like Firestorm, shall I put it that way.
Firestorm is so much better than Second Life's viewer, though.
Oh, I forgot to mention the other thing that I'm building is we're building an adult region on Hyperica of adult destinations, and the build part is complete, and we've installed about maybe a quarter of the gates. The region, the area itself is all PG rated, nothing dirty going on. But once you walk through one of those gates, who knows what will happen? So you shouldn't go in there unless you're over 18.
I shouldn't say it, but I actually did some shopping. Well, freebie shopping on the hypergrid. I forget. I was all over the place earlier in the week, and I did find a gentleman's recruitment shop, which rather reminded me of certain places in Second Life. Finally arrived on OpenSim.
I will add it to the directory. Can you please send me a link?
Yeah, I'll have to be in my landmark, my OpenSim viewer to find the landmarks.
Yes, please.
But yes, all the attachments and beds and everything else have firmly arrived over there now.
I am a firm believer in that technology is not driven by technology; it's driven by the dirty stuff.
Yep. Oh yeah, the first within unit to technology is the sex industry. Understandable.
The reason we had VHS tapes instead of beta is because of the adult industry. The reason why the internet took off is because of dirty websites. The reason why everyone has to buy a smartphone is so they can look at dirty stuff in private. It drives all major technology innovation.
And the reason Second Life has a tainted reputation is because the first people in there were and
the second people and the last people and all the people in the middle.
Exactly. They come and go, don't they? Okay.
Nobody admits it. Everyone's like, "What? What? There's X-rated stuff going on? I'm shocked to find out this kind of behavior happens online. Why? I never."
Well, I never. Yes.
Hello.
Well, we're still living in Victorian England,
Yes.
Good
So,
Lord.
I'm glad to say you haven't been totally quiet. I'm glad to say you haven't been totally quiet today, Petlove, though we haven't focused on you that much. Any closing thoughts from you?
Well, first of all, I am never particularly quiet. You know that well. No, I'm just pleased to be here, and I love hearing all of the supportive conversation about the good things that can happen on the virtual platforms. And I can't agree with Karima more when she talks about how great it is to collaborate with people. It is a joy. It's just an unexpected benefit that I wish everybody could, more that lots and lots of people could experience. And that's it for me. I mean, you have the Machinima Expo tomorrow at LEA, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to miss that. And I'll plug lots of stuff next week.
Okay. Very good.
If I'm available.
Okay. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Okay, so Tara, time for your roundup.
Well, last parting comments. Of course, this is Thanksgiving week for those in the U.S. of A., which definitely has an impact on U.S. folks in various ways. And
it's going to have an impact
also
on my kitchen for sure.
Yeah, people's kitchens, their waistlines, and their pocketbooks if they indulge in Black Friday, which is the day after Thanksgiving, when the holiday shopping season in the U.S. of A. officially kicks off with a vengeance, although obviously more and more jump the gun in various ways.
It's been blurred this year. It's been really blurred.
Yeah.
I've actually been seeing blogs all week, tempting me with special offers saying, why wait for Black Friday, get this now, get this, that. And I say, oh, yes, of course, Thanksgiving comes coming up, and that Black Friday thing they have over there. I'm trying to figure out when it was. I thought it was yesterday, but it's actually next Friday.
It's the day after Thanksgiving.
Yes, it's the day after Thanksgiving. Followed by Local Saturday and Cyber Monday.
Cyber Monday, yeah. And what about Sunday? It must be QVC Sunday.
Who knows what Sunday is? Anyhow, at least I have held off on any kind of seasonal decoration around here until after Thanksgiving. But obviously the holiday season of special events, including obviously the Winter's Expo. Kicks off with a vengeance over this next weekend, then immediately following Thanksgiving. So there'll be plenty of events to talk about next week.
And are you going to go and search for breedable turkeys for us?
No.
Eatable, not breedable.
Eatable.
No, I said breedable because
Eatable,
I
breedable.
I'm just thinking that's one breedable critter I don't think
And
I've
really,
seen
it's
yet.
edible, but I had to go with the.
Yes, it's edible, not breedable.
I'm a vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian. You
Well,
can't
then you can.
possibly-
Oh, then
you
you don't
can't
want
eat
turkey
it.
burgers.
So
either.
then you can have a tofu.
You can have buckwheat
Which
grits.
I've never been able to say.
Oh, I don't know. Poor turkeys. Poor
You
turkeys,
can have
eh?
everything but the turkeys. Oh, believe me, they're better off dead. If
You
saw
should
how
take
they
an
lived.
example from President
Jesus.
Obama. He pardons his turkeys.
Oh, that's a presidential tradition. Going
Yeah,
back.
I know, but thought I'd
They pardon a
humble
lot of political
suggestion.
turkeys too constantly here. Should we talk
Yeah.
about that? Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
No,
That's a whole
let's not.
show in itself.
that's. I was going to say that's a whole other program.
Yeah, it's another show.
I would actually love to do, in fact, but
Grumpy old
we'll stick,
politician
stick,
haters.
stick to the metaverse for now. Okay, well, I think it's about time we wrapped. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, the folks that are in the audience in Second Life here. Thanks to quite a few folks that seem to be watching on the channel this week. And, of course, thanks to all the rest of you who will be watching this in replay, the big multi-billion thousand of you that watch this program in replay. If you do want to see this program in replay at any time, go to slartist.com. That's SLARTIST.com, and you can just look up the thing that says Inworld Review. And all our back shows are up there, except for last week, which didn't get recorded, and the week before because we were at a conference. So we've actually been away for 2 weeks, well, in terms of recordings. So you can find us there at any time. Plus, it's all in nice high resolution if you want it. And the benefit of going there is it should work on just about any device you care to throw it at it. Pads, tablets, desktops, televisions, you name it. It should play on everything. Although I can't guarantee it actually works on your Apple Watch yet, but there again, who really wants
Natasha
to?
left. I have camera shots set up for Natasha, and she left. Excuse me for interrupting.
Oh well, fair enough. So, with that, if you want feeds throughout the week, on Twitter especially, check out twitter.com/Malburns, or for Second Life type stuff, check out twitter.com/Malburns_writer, and also check out twitter.com/MetaMaria or twitter.com/HyperGridBusiness. And, of course, you can just go to hypergridbusiness.com for all the business stuff, too. You can also find me on blogs at malburns.tumblr.com for Second Life Media. And you can find me on Malburns Annex at blogspot.com, where you can find the sort of clips, the serious stuff about virtual reality interfacing and sort of real-world crossover type material, the serious stuff, shall we say. Right, so with that, I shall simply thank all my guests again. Thank you, Winter, for being here. Very good to have you. Hope we have you again soon.
Thank you. Hope to be back.
Okay. And thank you, Karima. Absolute pleasure.
You. Oh, thank you. And so nice to meet everybody, and nice to meet you in person, Maria. I've admired you very much online, and just very nice to be here. Thank you. Good night.
Great. And thank you, Petlove. Oh, wonderful Petlove. Who's muted?
Who's muted?
Fell
I'm
asleep.
sorry. Yeah, I was. Thank you.
And thank you, of course, to Maria Koloff.
Thank you, Mal, for having me. I always love talking about this stuff.
I want to see boxing gloves next week. We're going to put a ring out there. You can beat up anybody you want.
I'm going to have trouble getting guests.
Yeah, right. That's right. We have alts. Don't worry.
And fine, yes, yeah. We'll We'll just have a kind of a holiday loose end party next week or so. We never run out of things to talk about, believe me, even if it's just 2 or 3 of us. And thank you, of course, to Tara. Thank you, Tara.
Oh, you're most welcome. And thank you to the bear. And unfortunately, I don't think we have any tiptoe through the tulips available to send us out with.
No, but we got a nice little dog. Got a nice little dog sleeping over there, breathing.
And the bobblehead kitties.
And the bobblehead kitties. That dog, though, I don't know. Even more than the bear, my attention keeps going to the dog and thinking, are you ever going to wake up? But you look so wonderful, snoozing there and breathing. All we need is a doggy snore.
Let's not forget, of course, the Firestorm kitties are looking rather stunningly healthy and happy, and we haven't even said Hieronymus's name in weeks.
This is true.
So,
Poor Hieronymus.
The big giant pussy sitting there behind Petlove. Yes.
Hieronymus had a girlfriend for a while, didn't he?
Oh yeah, and his girlfriend went back. Well, yes, his girlfriend went back to breed.
Is she a rescue now?
And now she's just resting. She's done with her.
I'm just going to say, if she's as big as him, they need a
yeah, it's my tiger.
They need a sim to themselves at that size.
And I say, give it to him on Kitely.
Yeah. I don't know. Callie Klein has just got to bring those Kit Kats to open sim. I mean, her back end is perfectly set up for it. So, yeah. Anyway, that's enough.
Now, what? We have to stop now because my fly cam is shot.
The database, Becca. The database.
Okay, Maria. Yeah, thanks. Let's let it die right where it's at. Okay.
Okay, everybody. Before
you put your other foot in your mouth, yeah.
Before I put my foot in it or my mouth in it, we are going to call it a wrap. I would like to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or indeed good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. And we will return.